And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another DP show. It's always something. I tell you what, I think that 𝗵𝗶𝗺𝗃 has the aura to mess up my setup every time. Like right before we're getting ready to go live.
Here we go.
Everything breaks. Everything breaks for some reason. But nonetheless, we are here with another DP show here. It's Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you're having the Coronas or the Corona Blues, there's another place to be there. Me and Phil over here, right?
Hi. How are you? It happens with you. It happens with you. It happens with Patrick when we do the Geek Show. It happened the other day when I did the interview with Brent. It's my magnetic personality.
Yeah, I call it the magnetic personality. Why is Mike? What the hell happened to my camera? Why is it so crooked over there? Why?
What happened to who? Your camera?
Yeah. Hold on, I'll fix it. Just a second.
Yeah, you gotta fix that.
Why is it like that? What is going on? It was not like that when we started the show. It was just fine. Move it down a little bit.
Something happened. There we
go. Something is still not good. Anyway, I'll fix it. But anyway, yeah. What's up?
I'm excited about our guest tonight.
I'm very, very excited. 𝗵𝗶𝗺 𝗕𝗂𝗃, of course, is in the chat. He is monitoring the Facebook and the YouTube chat. If you have any questions, he will relay them to us if you're just shy or if you don't want to call. But if you do want to call, right there, 215-383-5752. We do have a very interesting conversation today. You can always join in with any questions or comments or just talk to our guest or to comment on my lovely shirt. You didn't say anything about my lovely shirt. I told you I was going to debut it on the show, on the DP show tonight.
Well, right now, it's about this big.
Put your glasses on, you fucking old fuck.
No, it's blurry and it's about this big. That's how big the window is.
It says coronavirus vaccine on it, and it has an arrow.
With the arrow down.
It's pointing down. Yes.
You know what? I believe that as much as anything I believe from the CDC right now.
Absolutely. It probably works better than the hydrochloroquine, whatever the fuck that was called.
Oh, my God.
But anyway, yeah. Let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and introduce. Yes.
Before we get to our special guest, I just want to say that I reminisced a little bit. I reminisced because I was looking for a particular photo, and I found the particular photo. There's the particular photo right there. All right. And in trying to find that photo, I had to go back to like old bash folders, my old con folders. And man, you know what? We should do a show some night just going through some of those old photos.
Absolutely.
Talking about those photos.
That's a great idea.
I think it would be a really, really good idea because it brought back so many memories. And you know what? They were good memories. They were really, really good memories of the way the shows used to be and the friends that we had at the shows. And how upsetting it was when you left the show because you knew you were leaving your friends behind, but you knew at the next show all your friends were going to be there again.
Yeah,
right. It's just not that way anymore. It
really isn't, Phil. And you know what's really, really sad about it is that at that time, if you think about, this is really, really pissing me off. The camera being like that, but I'm gonna fix it here. Let me just fix it right now. That should have taken care of it. Nope, that didn't fix it.
No.
Nope. But I'll fix it. I'm so OCD and stuff like
you really
this.
Are. So I'll tell another story then about our.
Go ahead. I fixed it.
Oh, good job. He was one of those guys where when I was just a 𝗵𝗶𝗺𝗃, right? Really, really early on, in doing the reviews and everything. He was one of those guys that I was like really, really excited to meet. I wonder if he remembers like the day that I met him because I had that, I was like that,
Do you have a crush? It's good. Just go ahead and say it. Did you have a crush?
It kind of was a little bit because I'm like, oh my, wait. And somebody said, that's Cisco. I said, Cisco Spec Cisco? Cisco HH357 Cisco? And they're like, yeah, that's Cisco. I'm like, oh my God, right? I remember it was like him and Grim Green. I had the same like excitement to see. Well, and you, of course.
Yeah, sure. It's okay. Put me after Nick Grim Green, of course. But I get it. But you're absolutely right. At the time, keep in mind, vaping was not as public as it is now. Even Cisco was like a rare sighting. It was kind of like Bigfoot. You heard about him, but you never seen him. And just in general, not him only, but a lot of people back in the day then were kind of low-key characters. That you didn't see a lot of them, on these shows. You didn't see a lot of them on the internet. They didn't have a lot of pictures. Facebook was just getting into the vaping thing. So actually going to the events and meeting people and talking to them and seeing him was a very, very exciting time, I think, for all of us. And then, of course, before it blew up to the next thing. But why don't we bring him in so he can?
And he always thought that I was the #1 reviewer, and I mean,
yeah, still does. Right there, by the way, I gotta say, he does look younger than that picture there. I don't know. Maybe it's the goatee that you have on Cisco today, but what you're sporting here lately. But I don't know. Is that a Corona look, or is you're just trying to get back to your Portuguese roots?
You're on now. You can go ahead.
You can go ahead and say. You're on now, Cisco.
Yeah.
Okay.
we abused you as much as we possibly could.
That's okay.
All right. So for those
it's a two-way street, though.
Absolutely it is. So listen, let me just put a little intro here for because I did get first of all, I want to welcome you to the club, Cisco. The club is called If You Started Vaping at 2017, Nobody Knows Who the Fuck We Are Club. Me and Phil started that club. I'm the president. Phil is the vice president. So you're taking a good chair position on it. So all joking aside, for people that don't know, Cisco has been around for a very, very long time. In fact, the first time that I met Cisco in 2012, I was just vaping for a year and a half at the time. He was one of the few people, if not one of the earliest vapors that I've known from a time frame, Cisco, right? Because at the time, there was not a lot of people that were vaping 3 years. Right, that was like extremely rare at 2012, but you started vaping for a longer time. So let's back up to those times of when you actually started and quit smoking and transitioned into vaping.
Okay, what do you want to know?
When did you start vaping?
2009.
2009, and what did you start with?
Stick battery, because that's all there was.
Just like an 808
it was called a 103.
Uh-huh.
It was like a it was a 901 thread, but in reverse. Like on the 901, the male thread is
so
on
the threading was on the battery.
Yeah.
And
the male threads were on the battery, and the atomizer was like a 306 style, where it had a plastic cap you popped off.
Yeah.
And it was really easy to drip because you could see the bridge and and actually it worked pretty good. When I went to work though, I carried 97 batteries because they lasted 3 minutes.
Uh-huh.
I got used to it. It worked great.
What piqued your interest to try vaping? I mean, how did you?
Mine had sent me a link to an article, and I'm like, it looked like one of those late night TV commercial things.
Uh-huh.
And he said, I'm going to buy it and check it out. I'm like, well, order me one. I think he ordered it from Russia at the time. And it came in, and he came over, and we were checking it out, and it actually kind of worked. It was a bit nasty, and then the next day I was doing more research, and I said, I'm going to try to not smoke. I'll take this kid to work with me, the whole thing. And I actually stopped smoking that next day, and that was, it was a battle.
Yeah,
a couple of months, but
but it worked.
But it took a lot of effort.
Yeah,
to really stick to it. But then after a couple of months, I didn't want a cigarette or nothing.
Yeah,
and then I can't believe I even smoked.
Yeah. You started the same year that I started vaping, which is 2009. Do you remember back then? You told us about the device. Do you remember the e-liquid and the nicotine strength that you were vaping?
Yeah, 16.
16.
I bought. I think it was. I can't remember the name of the place. I don't remember, but
back then there was Johnson Creek, there was Halo, there was Decang, and there were a few others.
No, it was the company that I bought from that was already like an online deal, even at that time. And I bought some 24, and that was just way too strong. I think I did 16 or 18 for just a few months, because I was vaping a lot. Like I would have to fucking chain vape one of those thick batteries for like 5 minutes just to feel satisfied.
To get enough nicotine.
And the nicotine was like, insane. So I went down to 12 within the first 6 months.
and that's really interesting because I never asked you about that. I never asked you how you started vaping, but that almost like exactly mirrors what I did. Like I started with an 18 for like 2 months, and then I went down to a 12, and I've been at 12 ever since.
Oh, you're still at 12?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm at 0.
It's my happy place. Are you really 0? Good for you.
About 2 years.
Yeah, good for you.
So I'm just fake vaping now.
I'd say, well, you join the crowd. There's a lot of people that have fake vape.
I'm vaping.
Vaping. Oh, hey, Dimitri, we need to add that into the list of terms, vaping terms that we talked about on the Smoker Show.
Well, I'm ripping right now with regular 12 milligram nicotine.
I mean, it took 10 years to go from 12 to 0, and actually not to about 8 or 9 years, but I can't break this, hand to mouth habit.
It's that, okay.
And I love watching vapor, smoke. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
Obsession.
Yeah. Do you think, Cisco, I've talked to a lot of Greek modders, and a lot of them that started back at that time, around 2010, and we're going to talk about the work that you've done mechanically or technologically in vaping, which a lot of people should know. That there's a lot of people within this industry that need to get a lot of credit for where we are today in our industry, just simply are just not known. That's not just you, it's Zen, obviously Mike Morgan, Most Angry Pirate. There's a lot of people in this industry that did a lot of things for this industry and pursued it. But do you believe that mechanically you got into vaping aside from starting a business? And for people that don't know, Cisco does have avidvaper.com. This is his website. It's one of the oldest websites, by the way, on vaping, and one of the cleanest, in my opinion, looking website out there. But do you believe mechanically inclined that you got into it simply because you wanted to make your experience better in vaping? Because that's what I hear a lot from modders,
Absolutely.
I took GG because I became a modder because this is what I heard from a modder in Greece. I became a modder just to make GG's products better. To take a tank and make it perform better. You know what I'm saying? And this is how they entered into the modding world.
Make it use less O-rings?
Make it use less O-rings, yeah.
Was that even possible?
Yeah. But, I mean, for you, was that kind of one of the determining factors of why you started to tinkering around?
Yeah, I wanted to, once I understood how they worked, I just wanted to make it better for myself. I really didn't. I wasn't even considering making something for sale. It was just for me.
Yeah.
And then, I would post my findings on the forums, and people would say, oh, can you make me one or tell me how to make one? And I started to just do it for nothing.
Yeah.
And then, that got old real fast.
Yeah.
So I was like making stuff for people and charging them, it was, nothing.
Yeah.
Didn't even cover my time, but
yeah.
And then, I realized that there's a lot of money to be made here in stuff that's better because, a million people are selling all the regular crap.
Right.
But it was exciting. It really was.
Do you still have, I mean, maybe too early for that question, but I mean, do you still have that passion? Do you still have, because I remember discussions with you back in the early days of vaping of, looking into your mind and how you were thinking about the products, and also the struggle of trying to work with China. And it wasn't just you, it was Drew from Inhale and, Bruce from Clouds of Vapor, all the pioneer guys from back then that were trying to relay this into China and that struggle. But you always had that passion of like, I want to make it better and why I'm making it better. Do you still have that today?
No.
You just lost completely?
Yeah, just no interest whatsoever. I mean, there's, obviously there's places to go, but it just all the gear that came out, every hour there was something new.
Yeah. I don't know.
And that going on for years, it just got like, I guess, over my head about what was going on. And China then started to make what people really wanted. Some of the modders in the States and in Europe were going directly to China and having them make their idea years ago. And that really is where better gear came out.
Yeah.
Because China had no fucking clue.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Do you remember that turning point? Do you remember that turning point when you had the passion to when you started to lose the passion? Do you remember, was there one thing that happened that really made you change?
Cloning.
The cloning.
Yeah. It's pointless. And then the cloning wasn't so bad because, I mean, actually it was bad, but you know, you learn to accept it.
Right.
It never pissed me. It pissed me off the first couple of times, but that was back 10 years ago. Even the small stuff that I was figuring out and putting it on the forums, and the Chinese were all over these forums to see what their customers were up to. But it was when the cloning was like mass production, and the customers were like, fuck Cisco and his $100 atomizer. I'm getting him on for $10. They're like, you know what? I'm done.
Yeah.
It really was, you know?
Yeah.
And I couldn't, you know, I had a lot of ideas. I have probably 15 or 20 different products in CAD ready for production. Some of it's even been prototyped, but there's no money in it. I mean, I can't do it for free, obviously.
Right.
The thrill is designing the product and then putting it out and people love it. That's the satisfaction, but also the money. And I couldn't make any.
Okay.
By the time I got a product to the market and made a couple of $1,000s on it, the Chinese were all over it and it wasn't even worth it.
Hey, Dimitri, can you boost Cisco a little bit? I saw a couple comments that he's a little bit low. It had nothing to do with me buying those clones for testing purposes.
That's how it all.
Right?
That's how it all fucking started.
Okay, because Dino beat the living crap out of me over that.
I remember that.
Okay.
Me and Cisco got into it as well too when the Velocity clone showed up on the Mountain Oak Vapors website, which I had absolutely no idea of.
It was the marquee.
The marquee, yeah.
I remember that. That was
a lot of people, because I guess at the time I was a little bit more popular when I worked for Mountain Oak Vapors, but a lot of people thought that I owned Mountain Oak Vapors. I absolutely had no ownership in the company. I was just doing liquid wholesale for them internationally. That's what my job was as COO. But it was funny because I started getting some messages, and of course drama that I'm carrying clones and I'm promoting. I didn't even know that thing was on that purchasing hardware manager's joy at the company. I didn't even know that thing was up there. But we did get into it for a little bit, but all that's, to me, is water under the bridge. I think that people get, I mean, I can tell you commercially in this industry, what has happened to you has happened obviously to pretty much everyone.
Everybody.
Right?
Yeah.
And it continues to happen today.
It got to the point where I would see other people get their stuff cloned or copied. And I would listen to what they would say is what I would say in the beginning. And it was embarrassing to watch them have meltdowns publicly.
Yeah.
It really was. Because I just learned, you know, when the Velocity was cloned, I put up a picture of the sale page in China. I'm like, wow, that was fast. That was my comment.
Yes. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the Velocity that used Phil's pictures actually Phil's?
No, that was a K-Fun.
Oh, it was a K-Fun? Okay.
Yeah,
I remember so they took somebody's pictures. I think it was with the Velocity as well too, but it might have been Phil. It might have been somebody else's pictures. They took the Velocity actual pictures and posted it on the Chinese website for people to buy.
Yeah, it was funny with the Velocity. I put pictures up, but I didn't put a picture up of the deck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the double screw post, because it was pretty innovative at the time. And then I finally, a couple of days before the sale, we were ready to sell, I put the pictures up at the deck, and it got a lot of attention. The clones were in the hands of Vapors in the States in 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
5 weeks. They were already.
That was your window to make money, basically, is 5 weeks.
Yeah. I made $9. No.
Yeah. Well,
but I'm not ashamed to admit that the Velocity was $1 million project.
Yeah.
But
if clones weren't there, it would have been multiple millions.
Yes.
But they literally just put the brakes on.
Yeah. But you know what? You got to realize too, somebody got one of those Velocities and sent it to China to do that, right?
Not really.
Somebody would have to reverse engineer it, Cisco, to do it so quickly.
Dimitri and I visited a clone factory in China. The video is still out there.
I know. I saw that video.
Yeah. It was really interesting because these guys had no idea what they were doing. They had no idea what they were doing was wrong. They were so proud of their work and showing us around this factory. All they knew was somebody brought them something.
Correct.
And they needed to manufacture it. Right. So that's the really sad thing, is that it wasn't that factory that's the evil thing. It's the person who got the original, gave it to them, and said, "Make this for me." That's the evil part, right?
And not even that. That's not even the evil person. The problem is that there's no way to protect your ideas. So
No way.
they're technically not really doing anything illegal. It's, is it unethical? Yeah, they're not taking the high road on it, but you learn to accept it and then you move on. But then it gets to the point where you're just like, I can't do this anymore because I can't further a business if I can't make any money at it. And there was no money to be made.
It's funny because I had this.
It was a great project, but after that, it was like
So we're talking about the velocity, but there's some history before the velocity. So let's go pre-velocity.
Yeah,
right?
but by the way, that's what I was going to say. But can you imagine, just for a second, if you had $1 for every time one person said velocity style deck, you would be in Portugal in a fucking mansion with your wife and your kids with butlers sipping on whatever, that drink that we had in Portugal when we went, Phil, that was delicious and sweet.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's really funny. But yeah,
that's actually an interesting perspective, an interesting point of view, because if you think about it, like I've said that Evolve has changed vaping at least twice. Number one with wattage, number two with temperature control, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Cisco and Dino, they definitely changed the face of vaping at least once with the velocity deck. Everybody wanted to be that deck or better.
Yeah,
there was a time when that was the shit, and everybody was trying to do that or better.
Everything that came out of velocity deck, it was hilarious. Yeah.
215-383-5752. If you have any questions or comments, you can dial in. Bill Tarling is monitoring the chats. He'll relay any questions to us if you want. I think we got to rewind back to, if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong here, but your initial entry into that world, it was the Cisco Spec 306, right, Phil? Cisco?
Yeah.
So what exactly is the Cisco Spec 306 for newer people that might not understand that term in today's vaping lingo?
It's just basically a 510 atomizer that was designed with better quality control, better wire, wrapped and put together a little bit different to get the best that you can get out of a 510 atomizer, which is compared to today, it's nothing. But at the time, it was awesome. You couldn't get anything to vape better at that time.
And people need to understand that what we had at the time was battery limitation. So what you're attempting to do is based on the battery technology that we had at the time, and you were using non-regulated 3.7 volt batteries for the most part at the time.
Right.
So to me, I used 306 atomizers and I used the Cisco Spec atomizer before the HH came out, but the difference to me on the Cisco Spec was that the resistance would match the output of that battery that we had available for us. And the flavor, to me, was, by magnitudes better than what the available 306 atomizers had on the market.
Right.
And that was accomplished using silica wick, believe it or not, at the time. We didn't have cotton. So it was very, very important, the wraps and the surface area and how the liquid would touch the coil and how the air would come and hit it from the bottom to be able to provide you that good flavor. And it helped a lot of people quit smoking, and it helped a lot of people stay off cigarettes as well too, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors, what gauge size, wraps, diameter of the wrap. There's a lot of things that make a little bit of a difference, and you change 3 or 4 things and it's just better.
Yeah.
But, you're limited to that little tube size, so there's not a lot of places to go.
So really, Cisco Spec is something that you came up with. It was, a certain kind of wire, a certain kind of method, a certain kind of material, probably an attention to detail and attention to quality, probably, tighter tolerances as to what you're getting out. All of this, right? Yeah,
pretty much. And then, when I met Hana and we went over to the 357, everything that I had previously designed went into him making these by hand and tuning them even further, which, to me, that was the best flavor atomizer on the planet.
I find it really interesting that we still, listen, people might see this on your website and they're like, oh, what the hell is it? There's a lot of people that still use this. They don't understand how many people still use this type of atomizer. And it might look funny for a lot of people that are just used to these big Subohm tanks and stuff like that. But
they don't understand the struggle.
They don't understand the struggle for real. But there's something to be said about the simplicity of a 306 atomizer as well, too. And that's why I think I mean, I can only assume, I don't know how many you sell of these, but I can assume that you still sell quite a bunch of them because it's so simple to use. The drip tip is basically the top cap of a RDA. Just think about it like that. Put a few drops of liquid inside, usually higher nicotine. People like Julie Western, people like use. Take a few puffs. It's a good, punch in the throat. You get nicotine delivery. You get great flavor. And that's all you really need. It's basically used as a cigarette. Even to this day, in today's market and today's technology, this is still available.
Yeah, I mean, it was good for its time, But
is your atomizer the 357 right? Is that what created the name drip tip?
What do you mean?
Well, because you think about it, I mean, people call them drip tips today.
Right.
To me, they're not. They're mouthpieces. Right? Unless you're actually dripping through the tip, it's not a drip tip. It's a mouthpiece, right? But what I'm wondering is, did the HH357 and people dripping into the drip tip, is that what gave the name drip tip? Is that where the name came from?
That was around way before that.
It was around way before that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, back when I started, I told you I used it was called a 103. It had a 306 style atomizer. Within a couple of weeks of using that, I cut the top off of those plastic sleeves like the 306 and just drip right, because I was pulling the sleeve off, drip and putting it back on, and I just cut the top off, to drip through it. And then I don't even remember who came out with like the first drip tip or mouthpiece.
Yeah.
But man, I for years I did all of my liquid reviews on an HH357. I mean, what a pain in the ass! I had to clean the fucking thing down like between every flavor to get it to the point where it didn't have flavor creep from the last one, because it was just simply a great tasting atomizer. And I could remember too that, boy, the HH357 and like a drip shield from Empire Mods was like the shit.
It was. It really was.
That was, you wanted that back then, right? That
was the shit, and today it's shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, I used it for over 2 years. That was my setup. I mean, I had every drip shield available. And then when China started making them, I started buying China ones. I had a collection, probably about 40, 50 drip shields to mix and match with my device. Because, I mean, some of Keith's from Empire stuff was not readily available. I mean, I remember vividly at VaporCon, us lining up at Keith's booth to be able to get that new drip shield or that new Empire mod. And then come over.
The doors would open and 60 people would go right to his table.
Yeah, right.
Oh man,
that was great.
Right. Or to get your 26650, the Helix mod. I remember I got that at VaporCon, the black one, and I put a drip shield on it with a Cisco 510 atomizer, and then I put the extension. The little loopy extension, the flexible 510 extension, the gooseneck, that was the shit.
Oh my god, you must have looked ridiculous.
He still looks ridiculous. It's okay. I still love him anyway, though.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that. You mentioned and boy, do I miss that too. The doors opening and just people running to get that Empire mod, or people running to get the HH357, because there were show specials and there were deals, things that you couldn't get outside. People running to get a Hannah mod, right? I mean, you just don't see that anymore. Sometimes you might see it like at some of the big shows, like the Hall of Vape. We saw some of that with like maybe some of the Frankenskulls and
some of the high end scene,
some of the high end stuff. But it's just something that you don't see. Well, shit, you don't even see vape shows, right? The way they used to be anymore, which is really sad.
Yeah, it's just like, I guess it's commercialized now because there's so many more people vaping with all these retail, vape shops. There's a lot of money to be made, but not with the small guy in the small quantity.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's a difficult after it blew up to the stage, but I think it is important where it started from, and I think a lot of people don't realize how vaping got started, and eventually where vaping will end up again, because we will go back. In my opinion, I think that we will go. I think that commercial vaping 4 or 5 years from now is going to look completely different than it is now, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be looking for that. What we did in the early days, and I think it's going to revamp, but in a different style, kind of like at a black market underground type thing. Maybe we're all end up back on Vapor's forum, you know, at some point.
Maybe not.
Or maybe not. But to me, looking back at those days, Cisco, all the people that were involved in the industry, whether you were commercial or not, and you were commercial, Drew was commercial, meaning you were making money off this industry as well too.
Right.
But there was a different feeling. Okay, I never went up to Drew and asked him a question, and he treated me any different, or you, or other people within this industry. There was a feeling of community there, no matter whether you were commercializing it or not. If you were just
absolutely.
a vapor, or just a reviewer, or just a vendor, it was still more of a close knit group that would do anything to help you. For me, and I think for Phil, I think I speak for Phil as well too, as the early reviewers, it was important to have those good relationships to be able not only to promote products, but also to make vaping better. You know, the experience of vaping, you have to have good products to come out to get people to try vaping and enjoy it more, and not just shove something in their face. I sent Phil a picture the other day that this might be a little bit more for the Smoker Show, but I sent this picture. But I do want to get your comments on it. This was a lady that posted in a group, and she went to a vape shop to get a setup to quit smoking. Right. and so I want to get your thoughts on it. Let me just find it here real quick. I'm sorry.
I know which one you're talking about.
I'm a little bit slow on my oh, here it is. Okay, so let me move this over to this screen here, which is this. And I don't know if you can actually see this. So this is saying, I'm looking to sell this 𝗵𝗄 mod with Falcon tank, asking $45 or better, bought to quit smoking and never did, so it sat on the shelf.
Wow, that's what they sold her?
And right, so they sold her, you know, a 𝗵𝗄 mod with a Falcon tank to quit smoking. And she's looking to sell and recoup some of that money. But do you believe that when that big shift happened, when we went to that cloud, you know, route, do you think that actually, it might have bumped some people, made a lot of people a lot of money for that very, very short period, but it definitely worked against our favor. A lot of people didn't quit smoking. A lot of people went back to smoking.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people walked up to the front of a vape shop, looked inside and said, I'm not fucking going in there.
Yeah.
And turned around.
Yeah.
I mean, and then when they did go in, they would get sold some Subohm setup.
Yeah.
That's just insane.
Hey, listen, I'm going to play devil's advocate. You fell right into there with the velocity now, right? I mean, you were there.
You want to know the honest truth?
Yeah.
I have never, to this day, ever vaped on a velocity.
Really?
No, because it's not my thing.
Yeah. And
I made it because you know, it was a cool idea that I was able to inject into it, and I knew it would work with the Subohm people. I never Subohm. I think it's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's cool because you do have an engineering mind, right? I mean, you did design this stuff. So, I mean, you knew what would work for mouth to lung, but you also know what would work for direct lung and to make a giant cloud, right?
Right.
And I think, I think Dimitri and I are even going to venture into that world a little bit as well.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, the velocity, I mean, that was known as one of the cloud tank, right? I mean, or the cloud dripper.
Well, anyway. I think more than the cloud on the velocity, because you could, you could restrict direct lung. There's no doubt about it. You could tighten up the velocity. I think that the setup style. So when you look at what people were demanding at the time, I think again, I'm speaking for Cisco here, and he's here, he can correct me. But if you look at the time of the period that the velocity came out, what you were looking for was an easy way to do that dual coil build that everybody was desiring. And the velocity deck brought that. So I think the velocity, more than the airflow and the way that the air would hit it, and create the clouds, you have to have flavor, or else the atomizer is not going to be popular. If it's muted flavor, I don't care how many clouds you're going to have. But also the ease of use of building that dual coil setup, and the velocity brought that. Now, dual, you could do quadruple coil, you could do whatever you want to do. You can do a single coil setup on it, but make it easy. Right. So if you see a need in the market for that, creating something like that, whether you vape like that or not, I think it's irrelevant. Obviously, the atomizer was very, very popular because if you do a check on just right now, if you go on Google and you put velocity atomizer, all you're going to see is velocity styled RDA, velocity styled RDA, right? So that
you could all have money on this.
That's right. You're absolutely right there. see that it was taken and adapted into a world of what vapors were looking for. I think that's the key. This is what the vapors were wanted. Definitely the velocity was not a product for somebody to get started, to quit smoking.
No. But, you know, it was, at the time it came out, had some innovative features in there. But as usual, somebody took that and brought it to the next level, which is pretty much how this industry works. Somebody comes up with a cool idea, and it's a lot easier for someone to improve or enhance an existing idea, because the idea is out there and you're looking at it and saying, hey, I could do this and this and make it better.
Yeah.
You know, coming up with something, you know, off the cuff like that, where nothing was like that before, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
But, you know, making anything better that's already out there is easier than coming up with an original, you know, idea.
You know, I'm really glad that Dimitri pointed out the ease of use on that dripper, because I've always said that when it comes to dual coils, I don't do it because it's twice the work, right? Yeah. It's just, for me, it's twice the work.
Twice the liquid too. But the velocity was the first deck. Then I put 2 coils in and I said, hey, you know what? That was pretty easy. Yeah.
That was pretty easy, which is why it became my deck of choice for testers. Right. Now, I always had my original authentic velocity that I would take to all the shows. And I still have like the mouthpiece. It's like this crazy expensive mouthpiece that I have on it. I can't think of the name of it. It's got like a dual bore and it brings in air from the side. Really cool mouthpiece. But for the testing, because I wanted to get coils in and out really, really quick and make it easy to attach my probes to the shaft or to the posts, right? It was always that velocity deck. That's why I used it for testing. Right.
Yeah. And that's why you bought the clones. Just clarify before.
And I tell you what, over here, still in use today, my friend.
Yeah.
I mean, this is them, all of them, right? This is what I use to test. You know, if a device comes across my table with a 510 connection, this is what still gets used.
Yeah. So that's good quality clones, basically. It just makes Cisco feel even better for that. Let me again go back to some of the earlier stuff and the Marquis. The Marquis was more of a flavor atomizer, and obviously the velocity was more of the air. And through that, you've made a lot of connections with people. You've partnered up a lot, even with Hannah when you came up with the Cisco, the HH357, and the birth really of the microcoil, which again, a lot of people don't understand that the microcoil was started actually from a commercial made atomizer that was built on your specs.
Right. Pretty much.
So when you look at a microcoil today, you're like, oh yeah, the microcoil is great. But where did it start from? It started, if you look down in the barrel of an HH357, you're gonna look and you're gonna see what the definition of a microcoil is, because that's exactly what is it. How did you work with? How did you come up with this with Hannah?
Hannah was actually making his own atomizers at the time, just tearing them apart and rebuilding them to get better airflow. And when I met him, we were on Skype like every night for a couple of weeks for hours. Then I sent him a whole bunch of Cisco spec atomizers, and he liked the way that they were made, and they were easy to take those apart and rebuild. And he wasn't using he was using that nickel. Remember the nickel foam?
Yeah,
that's the 357 is all nickel foam, because you don't get a taste out of it, and it holds a lot of liquid. Because the old coils were just that piece of silica wick through the coil, and that was it.
Right. So you could only put like 1 or 2 drops. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And it didn't restrict the airflow. And we opened up the down in the 510 threads, there was 2 air holes drilled through the sides. They used to be 1 millimeter. We bought them out 2 millimeters each.
Yeah.
So we opened up the air, which you were able to increase the wattage and voltage a little bit and get a nice flavorful hit out of it.
Yeah.
When you're vaporizing the liquid, the smaller the chamber, the better flavor. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And a 510 or a 306 had a teeny little chamber, so you were getting a lot of flavor. You put that same exact setup in some giant RDA and you lose all your flavor.
Right.
It's too much space in there, too much going on. You see a lot of atomizers now that have like deck restrictors that sort of close up the open space a little bit after you put your coils in, and you get a little more flavor out of it. It's just, it's just the way that works.
To me at the time, I mean, that's pretty much what I used exclusively. And I remember Phil even making fun of me. Phil was in the Carter tank phase at the time. Being older than me, I understand. He just wanted convenience over flavor. But I got made fun of a lot by continuing to use it. And I don't think people give me credit enough to understand what I was doing. Because just like you said, to me, in order to stay off cigarettes, to me, the most important part was the flavor.
Yeah.
And I could not replicate that flavor out of a Carter tank, no matter what I did.
Go from an atomizer to a Carter tank,
you're going backwards.
You throw them out, because I know Phil used Carter tanks for a long time.
Yes.
And I never understood how you were able to stick with them for so long. I couldn't get any flavor. I don't care what Carter it was.
I agree. But I think if you haven't experienced dripping like I did, and I don't think Phil went through that phase of dripping like I did.
No.
I can see coming from, just a Cardo into a Carter tank, it's easy. You make that transition a little bit easier.
Absolutely.
But for me, I couldn't, because I was in the dripping phase since day one, whether I was using a Rio Squonk with a 306 spec and then moved on to just dripping directly, and then eventually to the HH357. I never went the Carter route. So I think that for me, it was very, very difficult to go after a year of using something like that into something that was not providing me the flavor. But I think to me it was really important to also keep in mind that the liquids at the time were different viscosity, different flavor percentages, right? Liquids that we were using back then were using 7%, maybe 8% flavor versus 20, 25% that we're seeing now flavoring in a recipe. So it was really important to be able to define and pull every little bit. Like, we're struggling to pull out everything that this atomizer can give you, and I think that the 357 certainly did. The only thing I was really, really upset with the 357 is that we were never.
Was the price?
No, not even that, because I had my pattern once a week. I vodka bath, I mean, I've got all those videos are still up on YouTube, but I had my pattern. I would put him in the vodka bath, let him sit inside there, then put him in the little sonic cleaner, and then take him out, blow him out, let him dry. I had my whole pattern, and I could make him last, especially when the color.
They're almost like brand new after they're cleaned.
Yes.
I mean, how long did you have some last for you?
I still have. I mean at least 3-4 months, maybe longer than that. Absolutely.
And that's insane if you think about it, because they only lasted a week or two.
Yes.
By the time you burnt them all out.
Yes. I remember.
Talking about 357s?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think all of my 357s are.
Well, you only used them for reviews, though. You didn't use them on.
They were only for reviews.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's the difference. I was using it daily.
Right. I know you guys are making fun of me with the Carter tanks, but I've also said from day one, I've always said that vaping is a game of trade-offs, right? And you trade off what is lesser important to you for what is more important to you, right? For me, convenience was important. Absolutely. That's why I never drip. The reason why I don't drip is because I have to drip. Right. The reason why I don't squonk is because I have to squonk. There's something I have to physically do all the time. Right. And that's why I never did that. So I was willing to give up a little bit of flavor to get the convenience of having all that liquid in a tank. I don't have to think about it all day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it makes sense. It makes sense. No, we're just busting your balls a little bit. You ain't got to take it personally.
That's okay. But I think it's good to get the perspective of why one thing works for somebody and it doesn't work for somebody else.
Absolutely.
Right? I tried Cardos because sticking a Cardo in a tank and filling it with liquid and then going out for the day. I mean, that was great feature. It's just I couldn't deal with it.
You made a Cardo tank too, didn't you?
What's that?
You made a Cardo tank.
A few of them.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean a glass tube with some machine cap shit?
Yeah. I mean, you put a Cardo tank on there. To me, what was really upsetting is that we were never able to perfect a tank for the 357. That was I mean, I understand why. Mechanically, now looking back at it now, that I have more knowledge, I get it. Right. But man, that was like, to me, was the zenith of vaping. If we could get that same flavor in a package where we can just fill up with 5 mLs and go, would have been the top of the line for me. I might have quit at the time if that was available. if that was possibly to be done.
That's what the you know, the 𝗂𝘊 really was basically that.
Yeah.
It was like a little atomizer with a tank of liquid.
Yeah.
And you know, when that first came out, they didn't sell it all because they sucked until someone decided to use cotton wicking, and that just, they exploded.
Yeah.
Because there's a huge difference in the wicking properties, and that's when they took off.
Yeah. And also,
so after they were released.
And also, you had pre-made coils that were Cisco Spec coils that I used in the 𝗂𝘊. So it was basically a microcoil wrap, right? That you could just take it and stick it on there. In fact, I remember, I can now publicly say this, but I remember at the time, I used your coil in the Golden Greek Penelope.
Oh, dude.
Do you remember that?
You didn't do that.
Do you remember?
That's illegal.
When the Penelope came out, because the Penelope used, you had to have non-resistant wire,
right?
You know, like I'm gonna fucking weld wire. Are you fucking kidding me? That's just not gonna happen. But you had available welded wires, ready to go coils. You could just put them in there and you're done. So obviously, I used that on my video, and man, I got eaten up by 𝗵𝗶𝗶 for using your coils in a video that was for his atomizer, and he's like, well. He's like, well, I have those coils as well too, and I'm like, I'm not gonna tell people from America to order coils from Greece. Are you fucking kidding me? You know, I mean, it was just funny drama.
I like every Greek on the planet except one.
I wonder why.
I mean, you know, I tried to like that guy, but he just
we did too.
He's just a douche.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's nothing you can do about that.
No.
But on a serious note, let's get back a little bit to that time frame of now we're starting to see these products come out. Now we're starting to see the C4 come out as well too, right? The C4 was kind of a game changer. I think we all can agree on that, right? It made that convenience of getting a good vape, easy to fill tank. You don't have to deal with cardos. You don't have to deal with dripping. You don't have to deal with anything. The flavor was, you know, debatable, but did you see that shift coming? Did you see that when that C4 come, it would be a game changer? Because I really think a lot of people quit smoking because of the C4 and the ego battery.
It was like a blend of an atomizer and a cardo tank in one product.
Yeah,
it was a little bit better flavor. It had a tank. I thought they were great. Except, you know, when they came out with a new model every hour and a half.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I think the CE4 was the biggest experiment with vapors ever, because there was the CE4, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, and it was like literally every couple days. Right. So like they would put something out and they would like get people's response and like, this isn't working. And they would put something else out like in a couple days later.
Yeah.
So it was like, and I have a video of me making fun of just that.
Right.
It was short wicks versus long wicks versus colored versus 4 wicks versus 2 wicks. It was always something a little bit different, but it was like constantly getting better.
Right.
The consumers were the basic beta testers. You'd buy something just to test it out for China.
Yeah. I mean, there's people that were just on board with anything new just to try it out. And the Chinese knew that.
Yeah. And they still do, by the way. I mean, they still do that today.
Right. They make something half-assed, and then they wait for the feedback, and then they have version 2, 3, and 4 all within 2 weeks.
Yeah. As long as they keep selling it, they're going to keep doing it. Yeah. That's for sure.
I remember ordering stuff, you know, like ordering a new product, and I would ask the supplier, I'd be like, you know, is there anything new in the works, another version? I want to make sure, you know, and I would spend all this money. And while my stuff was in the air in an airplane, I'd get an email from that same person that the new version's out in 2 days, you know. And after a few years of that, it just gets old.
Yeah.
Because you're throwing a lot of money at product, and, you know, you buy V1 or V2, and then V3 is out. And now the product that you just spent X amount of dollars on is worth nothing because nobody wants it. Everybody wants the new thing.
Yeah.
You know, so as a vendor, you start to you have this mountain of product that's worthless.
A lot of people went out of business because of that as well too.
Yeah.
A lot of amateurs, I should say, that got into the business in those years didn't realize at the end of the year when they look at their shelves, and they have all this money sitting on there of product that they're never going to sell.
$500,000 in inventory that's worth, you know, $80.
Yeah.
You had to really keep an eye on things and not jump on it instantly. It was hard. It was like you know, it was a dance.
It's difficult though. You know, I mean, it's difficult from one end. I can see it, you know, from my stores in Greece. You want to compete in the space, right? You don't want to be that guy that brings it 3 months later, because by that time, like you said, everybody has moved on to the next product. But I think that, I think one of the reasons why you have maintained in business all these years is because I believe that your customers understand that if you're going to bring something in, you're going to make sure that it's going to be a product that is worth bringing in.
Right.
And I think that there is that clientele. Yeah, it might not be the million clients that you're looking for, but I think that the reason why you maintain business, and I think one of the reasons why I'm successful in Greece as well too, because I take that same approach.
Right.
Just because X YouTube reviewer in Greece makes a video on it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to bring it into the store, because I know how that review went down and why he has it and he's putting it in a video because the distributor brought a bunch of them and he wants to sell them. But that's not necessarily what's best for my customers, and I explain that to my customers, and I think people will understand that. But you're always going to have that, you know, maybe that younger demographic that's always chasing the dragon, trying to say, I'm going to get it no matter what it is. It's the newest and the greatest, and it does exactly the same as the previous one, maybe even worse, but I'm still going to buy it.
And the problem with that was, you know, it was the time frame to get product.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to order something from China, it was, you know, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. You can't, if you wait too long to order something, by the time you get them, they're already on the next one, or 1,000 suppliers already have, you know, a large quantity. So it was if I was able to get product quick, then it would be different. You can order small quantities to see how they work. And then if you see you're running out, you can get more within a week. You can more so nowadays with distributors. But back, you know, when I first started, if I wanted to buy anything, I bought from China directly from Kanga and Aspire. And, you know, I didn't buy from third party or distributors, or direct. But, you know,
I think a lot of people don't realize that China has no stock. I guess, you know, while we're in reveal mode today, I think that people don't really understand that if you go to any Chinese factory today, you're not going to find stock of any product at all. They only produce.
They produce what they sold.
What they sold.
That's it.
So
if like when China was going to clone a product, they didn't just, you know, see a post about a new atomizer and then start machining it. They would put up these interest pages on like Alibaba. They would put literally my photos. They took my photos off my site and put their watermark on them. And then it would generate interest. And if they sold 10, 20, 30,000 pieces, then they would go make them.
They would go in production.
But if nobody wanted any, they wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
But at a time, everything was cloned. They didn't just go, oh, there's a new atomizer coming out by this dude, let's go make them.
Right.
They would put interest pages, sell them first.
Yeah.
You know,
it's basically like Indiegogo. It's exactly the same. They're using your money to go into production to put something out there, and they continue to do that. Again, might not interest the average vapor for that discussion, but it's very, very interesting to see how this industry works, and I think it's kind of eye opening to understand how the whole process goes, and why I keep telling vapors to wake up, because at some point they're going to have to wake up. We're being kind of taken advantage from the fact that this is what China banks on, and a lot of the shops and a lot of the distributors and a lot of the vendors, Cisco, fell into that same trap and continue to fall in that same trap today. And it's never going to stop until we see more of a matureness come across the industry, and people are willing to step up and say, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to bring your product in. And that's going to be the end of it. You're going to get more quality coming out that way than what we're seeing right now with every piece of junk that's coming out.
I think the biggest problem was the fact that the people that owned the businesses were not business owners. Mm-hmm. They were people who saw that they could make money by bringing product in and selling it, open up a website or a vape shop, and they were not business savvy.
Yeah.
And they really just sort of corrupted everything, especially pricing.
Yeah.
Oh,
boy. I mean, as a businessman, if you bring a product in and you're selling it for $50 and it's not selling, the last thing you do is drop the price. Yeah. You do everything else first. So all marketing or whatever else you could do to sell the item. You got someone who's not business savvy, they put up a product for $50. 2 hours, they don't sell any. Now they're selling it for 40. And then after about a week, now everybody has to sell it for 40.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where there was no money to be made, even in bringing Chinese product in. There was a very small profit on each piece.
Yeah. It's the same with liquid. I mean, they did the same thing with liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like a couple comments there. I mean, right here is the, by the way, this is the number one best-selling unsalted flavor here.
What a whore.
If you try that. Cisco, I can send you some. As a matter of fact, I would love to try this in a Cisco Spec.
Such a whore.
probably taste amazing. But I mean, we had liquid gold in this bottle, right? We were charging whatever we wanted to, and it's the industry itself that destroyed the pricing for what was in this bottle. Also, you know, you were talking before, and we were talking about like the amount of product that comes out today compared to the way it was before. I think before too, you had like an appreciation for when something came out that was new, right? It had the spotlight for a while.
Yeah.
Right. It enjoyed that time in the spotlight where it was new and it was exciting and people wanted to get it. Now it's just like, you know, there's so much stuff. There's like one thing after the other. I think it reduces the amount of excitement, the amount of interest, the amount of time that a product can spend in the spotlight. It's just not the same anymore.
No, it's never been the same.
Yeah.
You know, usually when you release a product, you know, you do a lot of marketing to make sure you're going to get a time frame to keep the interest in your new product. You're not going to release it when some other company's releasing something similar. You know, you kind of, you know, you do your work, you do your research, but with this, forget it. You're lucky if you have a couple of days on something before somebody's got something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you believe that, and this goes with a question that's from the chat, what is your best MTL? Do you believe that the HH357 is the best MTL product you've made?
That I've made?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the best MTL product.
No, obviously that's the Zenith. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But from your atomizers, I would agree with that from all the products that I've tried.
I mean, the difference between that and a regular one is the fact that they're handmade and they're built to last.
Yeah.
You know, you get a lot more time, and it's the reason, you know, that they were so expensive. They were handmade here.
Yeah.
But you didn't spend that kind of money just to get a great vape and buy a new one every week. They lasted months.
Right.
Like all day use, they lasted months.
It seems like,
care of them.
Yeah, it seems like products are disposable today. I don't care what it is.
Oh yeah.
All the products are disposable, from tanks, from mods. Everything is disposable. Like people are expecting to spend $40 on a shitty mod, and a month later they're going to buy another one. Like it's almost like expected, and that's what China and I think a lot of the shops and distributors are taking advantage of. You don't have them built. I mean, I have silver bullets. I have the Helix. I have stuff here that was made 10 years ago that works just as fine as it worked in day one. You just don't have that anymore.
You know, why would I buy a $20 atomizer that lasts 6 months when I could buy a $7 one that lasts a week?
Yeah. That's the thinking though right now. I think you're absolutely. People want to save a few bucks and they don't understand they're going to have to. It's that immediate satisfaction. I want to get to this. I'll get to this question here first, and then I want to switch it up a little bit. I guess for both of you, what do you think the relationship between Subohm and vape shops wanting to sell more liquids? Are the margins thinner for devices than for e-liquids? I mean, for me, I will tell you that the shops today are completely ridiculous, because when that was hot between 2016 and 2018, meaning they wanted to sell more liquid, obviously they did. Now they're selling 50 milligram salt. They're still not making any money because they only see customers once every 3 weeks. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
A lot of shops were, the only way they made their nut was in the profit they made on e-liquid. There was no profit in hardware. Yeah. Some shops hardly sold any hardware at all.
I agree.
The money was in the liquid. And when that started to dwindle, you know, it became real hard to make any money.
Yeah. I've often likened vape shops to like a restaurant, right? A restaurant is what do? They sell you food. Mm-hmm. Right. And food in the vape shop is the hardware. But what does a restaurant really want to sell you? They really want to sell you alcohol, because that's where their markup is. Right. Yep. And the alcohol was the e-liquid to a vape shop. Mm-hmm. Right. Because that's where the markup was. That's where they made the most money.
That's a good analogy, buddy.
Cisco, you didn't get into brick and mortar, which is a little bit interesting to me, being one of the first. I know a few others attempted it and failed, but being one of the first to have a retail website for electronic cigarettes, you saw that shift happening. In fact, I think we were, me and you were having dinner in Manhattan when we had this conversation about the brick and mortar area, and you were kind of exploring it a little bit. Now, I know you're in New York, and fucking rent is outrageous to do anything there in New York. But aside from that, what was the factor that made you turn that switch off and say, I'm not going to open up a brick and mortar store?
The expense.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, a vape shop in New York, it's expensive, more so than anywhere else probably, and you had to price your products accordingly, but everybody else in the area would have their prices, you know. but the responsibility, you know, and how am I going to sell something for $100 when everybody else is selling it for 60 or 70?
Yeah.
Because you can't explain a regular consumer you know, how a business works, you know, that the money you give me for this product has to pay rent and payroll and electric. They don't care. It's just, it's 100 here and 70 here. I'm getting it for 70.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think, I mean, I could have opened one and made some good money for a few years, but I was just like, you know what? It's too much responsibility.
Yeah.
Too much time I would have to put in at a shop.
Yeah. There had to been a little bit of a vision as well too, in seeing how laws and I mean what we're seeing right now in New York, complete devastation of the industry, obviously with Cuomo's law. But aside from that,
what law?
It's true. But
like
aside,
no flavored e-liquid law?
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Good.
Until you know what? Until somebody knocks on my door and arrests me.
Yeah.
Until then, I don't give a shit.
I agree with you. I had that conversation with somebody in New Jersey today, and I said, "There you go to court, buddy. I'll be right there with you, and I'm going to make them explain why they're banning this product." But,
I mean, you know, because technically, if you get caught, you'll get a warning.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a small fine. That's when I'll turn it off. But until then, I don't give a shit.
So I want to actually explore that with you a little bit. So you don't give a shit. You're vaping right now. Are you vaping a flavor?
Yeah.
Okay. What flavor are you enjoying tonight?
Menthol.
Oh Christ, that's like a
hey,
treat.
Don't be fucking around with menthol, Phil. Delicious.
So where are you? You know, you said you don't give a shit. You know, until they come knocking on the door, and I totally agree with you, and I think that's the way it should be. I don't think we're doing anything wrong. Okay. So where are you getting your? Are you selling your flavors on the website? Are you getting your flavors from somebody? Are you making your own flavors? How are you getting them?
I buy them from a supplier in Florida.
It's not me, by the way. I'm not sending him the flavors.
Yes, all my liquids made by Phil.
So when you say like a supplier, are you buying finished product or are you buying DIY stuff?
Finished product.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a phone call. Let's go ahead and bring him in real quick. 901. 901. That's a familiar area code. You're on the air.
Yeah, this is Keith.
Hey, Keith. What's up?
I was just wondering what Cisco's thoughts were about like the U.S. manufacturers like Twisted Messes and Nick and them they get their RDAs and stuff manufactured over in China, bring them over here, and they're considered authentic, which they are, at so much of a lower price than what him and Dino were able to sell their authentics for. Whether he thought that was a determining factor and how they were able to move product versus, the Twisted Messes and stuff.
That's a good question. Thanks for that question. So I guess Cisco, to kind of rephrase it a little bit, what you've seen now is a lot of guys like, a lot of reviewers, and not only reviewers, but companies that are American companies that make exclusively their product in China. And I mean, it's a natural evolution, right? I mean, that's the way.
Absolutely. I don't really have a problem with it at all. I actually think it was pretty fucking genius.
Yeah.
That they were able to get quality product made in China and bring it in here and sell it at a much lower price than I was able to, because my stuff was manufactured and machined here. So my cost was insane.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I was going to make another product, I would have to have it made in China, to my specifications and sell it here. But the one thing I wouldn't do is lie and say it was made here, because I know a lot of guys did that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the part that pissed me off, because if you're selling any atomizer for $50 or $60, it's not made here. There's just no fucking way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's not even possible. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
But I think it was smart. And these suppliers, I mean, a lot of these reviewers, I'm not going to name any, but I know that the product that they are selling, they had absolutely fucking nothing to do with.
Yeah.
The suppliers in China just wanted to slap a popular name on, and boom, more sales.
Yeah. Keith, I hope that answers your question.
did. Thank you.
Thanks, my friend. I appreciate it. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Cisco, just for the record, I can show you design documents, 3D renderings, 3D printouts of the stuff that we've done. So I mean, we are actually hands-on. Just want you to know.
Yeah, but on that same question, how far has Chinese machining come in the last 5 years? This is another question from the chat, Cisco.
I mean, there's good and bad.
Yeah.
They've stepped up their game because they know they have to. I mean, the Chinese are smart.
Yeah.
They were banging out crap because people were buying it and they didn't care that it was crap. But then that sort of got to be an issue and they stepped up their game. I mean, you can get something made here and something made in China just as good as if it was made here.
Yeah.
If you get the right supplier and willing to pay the right number.
Yeah.
And I know that the stuff made in China that these reviewers are selling. I mean, that's, those are $15 atomizers that they're not selling for 25. They're selling for 60 and 70.
Yeah.
So, but I know they weren't making all that money.
Yeah. I think China has because me and Phil go to China all the time, and we've seen this from suppliers as well, too. It's just like here. I mean, you can go to a machine shop in New York that does really good work, and you can go to a machine shop that will probably do it $10 cheaper. But, it probably has burrs on it and, not good finishing and stuff like that. And China is exactly the same way. It's all about how much money that company wants to make on that particular product. And that's what is going to determine it. We wanted to put, clippers in our kit with the Aries, but that would raise the price. And then when when Innik can put it down financially of how much money, everybody's going to make through this entire deal, you have to come up with that number that makes everybody happy. And that can be done with the quality of the stainless steel that you're going to use. Yeah, I remember that big controversy that happened, like when again, I hate to keep bringing up GG, but that whole controversy about 303 versus 304, like it was the fucking end of the world. You know what I mean? It was just like it's like we all of a sudden became, and the vaping industry does have that big drawback that when there's a flaming topic, everybody becomes an expert. Whether you're going to become a scientist or you're going to become a metals expert or you're going to become an emissions expert. And at the same time, that 303, 304 controversy came out. And but it's the same thing. If you're going to get 303, whatever you're going to pay, and then if you're going to get 304, you're going to pay that. That's what's going to determine on your final product that you're going to put out there. Yeah. There is a lot of abuse in that. There's no doubt about it. But as long as vapors don't care, it's going to continue to go on.
Who cares?
Right.
I mean, what consumer cares about 303 or 304 or 316?
About 10 people on a Facebook page. That's it. Yeah. That makes a lot of noise.
But the problem is those 10 people don't shut the fuck up.
It's true.
Yeah.
So it looks like there's 1,000 people, but no. I mean,
the one place I'll argue that is when it comes to the high end products, right? When it comes to the high end and the some of those where you're spending a fair amount of money, I think then you want to know the quality of the stainless steel. And there are people that will want to know what O-rings are being used. What like they'll want to know everything about that atomizer. And I think when you get to the high end world, there are certain players that do this better than others that really list out everything that goes into their atomizer, and then and I always see that, like if I'm reviewing something high end and I go to the website and they have like every material, every O-ring, everything is like listed and spec'd out, then I know that they've done their work, they care about their product, and they're justifying the cost, and I think rightfully so, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the key is they're justifying their cost.
They're also justifying, the vapors are also justifying making that purchase. Because I know that there's no vapor that actually has a tool that will test out that stainless steel to find exactly what the grade of stainless steel is. But I think if you're spending...
the atomizer is $80 instead of $60 because I used O-rings that are 9 cents each, not 4 cents.
Exactly. But
there are better, they're better quality on everything. O-rings, metals, stainless steel.
I agree.
Machining quality. I mean, it's all, you put the time in to make a nice product. People are willing to pay the money for it.
I agree. Let me pull this telephone in. 203. You're on the air with the best hair in vaping and Phil and Dimi. What's up? 203. We hear you breathing. You can speak now.
Hello.
Hey.
Dimitri?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bobby Hargrove from Naples Vapor.
Hey, Bobby, what's up?
Hey, Bob, how are you?
Good morning, Phil. Good evening. This is morning for me, for Christ's sakes. I'm never up this late. But you guys got me the last few weeks. So I'm starting to enjoy it and learn something. Listen, Naples Vapor has been very fortunate. We've avoided a lot of traps. The salts, like you guys talked about before, why salts when Freebase is paying our rent. However, more and more people are walking out of the shop because we're not selling disposables. So that turns my stomach. We don't want to turn anybody away, but that's a trap that we could easily fall into. So we grab something, we put it in the back room. Somebody comes in, asks for a disposable. We got one kind, we give it to them.
Yeah.
I'm scared of starting to bring any disposables in from China. Now, here's really what my question is. We have a company that we're both familiar with, very familiar with, that told me if I want to send my juice over there, they can make a disposable for me.
Yeah.
How costly is it to send juice to China?
All right. So let me explore that. I'll put you on hold and I'll dive into it. Okay, Rob?
All right, good.
All right. So first of all, what is your thoughts on disposables, Cisco? I just want to get what your thoughts on when you're seeing this 50 Nick craze now that's going on with these disposables.
I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it either way.
Yeah. So
they make them because people buy them.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it.
That's it.
There's no doubt about it that there's a demand. And as a business, you have to make a business decision.
Right.
I get
it. If I owned a vape shop, I'd sell disposables.
You'd have, yeah.
I want to pay my rent.
I get it. Absolutely. I totally agree. As long as it's not the only product that you're selling. And I think this is the trap that we've fallen in the last 3 or 4 years, that vape shops only bring in the trend and they're not training their staff to be able to offer a variety of products into the stores. I think Naples Vapors does a good job with that. But to take your liquid today, to send it to China, to have a disposable made, yeah, it's possible. It can be done. It's not that expensive. The problem is that the end product for you to make any money will be expensive. So you're going to have to compete with a $4.99 puff bar that's being sold right now on every website in America because they have such a lot of stock and they can't move them. And you're going to have to sell that for $12.99 into your store, which puts you in a huge disadvantage. If I was going to do that in my store, I would just buy what's readily available.
Absolutely.
There's no way that I would go right now and manufacture a closed pot system in China with my own liquid. You're not going to be able to financially... you're not going to be able to financially compete with what's on the market there. I think you're still online, Bob. So I hope that answers your question. It's doable, Bob. It's doable, but I don't think that financially it will be profitable for you right now, unless you're able to move $1 million a month.
And no fear of China liquid.
Look, we vaped China liquid way before. My personal thought is that even the worst liquid on the market is still 1,000 times better than a cigarette. So I don't have a fear of China liquid. I don't. Now, flavor-wise, we can debate that all day. I'm not a connoisseur, right? Right, Cisco? You've used Decang for years.
Yeah. It sucked, but
yeah,
it's
you're right.
That was there.
You're right. So yeah, so who are we to judge if the customer wants it and they want to buy it? I'm not afraid of China liquid being into this product, but this is what you're going to have to do to compete, Bob. I don't see it feasible for you right now to go out there and put your own product into a disposable and compete with. Just today, I got an email. I don't want to advertise websites like that. I got an email from a website that have 12 different disposables at $4.99 or under. I even saw disposables for $2.99 on there. So how are you
that same email?
how are you going to compete with that?
Yeah.
Right. Well, we had a company that does a liquid, a good company, who claimed today that that's what they were doing. They were sending their liquid over to China and having it done over there with their liquid. So that's why the thought came into my head, and I made a call to our friends over there, and I was told I could do that. But they suggested that, the cost would not be, wouldn't be feasible.
Yeah. Listen.
Guys, thanks a lot.
You're welcome, Bob. Have a good one. Great guy, Robert.
You're probably better off having them filled here.
Yeah. You can also do that and just get the pods.
Cheaper for you to buy your own filling equipment to fill your own disposables than it would be to send your liquid to China.
That's another possibility.
Pray to God that what's in those disposables is your liquid.
Yeah. And it's not only that. Eventually, you're going to get a letter from the FDA to cease operations. Don't forget about that. So you're talking about investing into an operation that has an expiration date, because we don't know what's going to happen after September 9th with the FDA coming over and coming after high nic pods, and they will. People don't believe it, but they will. That's top of their priority list as far as the enforcement is concerned.
Not just high nic pods, but also the flavored pods, right? I mean, they're going after that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you consider to be the best MTL right now, Cisco? Be careful how you answer. That's a question from the chat. It's not a question from me.
The best MTL right now?
Yeah.
I have no clue.
No clue. There you go. There's your answer. I want to.
The Zenith. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. You got the right answer.
Remember what a great vape that product is.
How about this? What are you using right now?
You don't want to know.
Okay.
It's old.
I bet you it's an Aspire Nautilus.
It's a 𝗵𝗶𝗺. It's a Super Tank Mini.
Yeah, that's what you've used for a lot of years.
I've been using this since it came out. 7 years ago.
It's a great tank
with a 1.8 ohm cantel on 15 watts.
Yeah, it's a great tank. I think that the Super Tank was probably one of the best tanks that came out of China. It's a shame that it's kind of fallen off, but it's a great tank. Easy to feel, good flavor.
The equipment I need to vape reached its peak about 9 years ago. I mean, all the stuff that's come out in the past 7 years, 6 years is way beyond what I would ever need.
Absolutely. One thing that I do want to bring up is this is a very good topic briefly to touch on. The term low resistance. I have to bring this up, okay? Because when we saw you make that adjustment and get away from the 3 ohm category and drop down to 1.5 ohm category, we consider that low resistance. Today, if you say low resistance 1.5, people laugh at you.
Right.
But the truth is that for us, that was a huge step in innovation. Whether people want to admit it or not, the fact that we were able to get a commercially made product with that lower resistance to fit our battery to give us that better vape was a huge step. So how did you come up with this concept, this LR concept at the time?
Ohm's law. I mean, a lower resistance atomizer on the same, voltage that a higher resistance atomizer is going to create more heat.
Yeah.
And if you can but just more heat didn't do any good unless you can get more air. I mean, the more heat you have, the more air you need.
Right.
That's, but at the time, atomizers were like high 2s, 2.5, 2.7, 2.8, some even 3 something.
Yes.
And when I don't know if you vaped when the 510 came out.
Sure.
From Joytech, their atomizers were 2.3 ohm, and they were unbelievable.
Yeah,
just going down to the to the lower 2s.
Yeah,
and I just said, what about if we get down below 2 into 1.8, 1.5, and see see what's possible, and that's where it sort of came from.
Yeah, it was an amazing concept for me, and it was an eye opener, especially the way that I vaped into dripping. I remember specifically, I will never forget this, that one of my HH357s, it was when you came out with the colored barrels, which to me, again, was a huge thing because I'm a really matchy guy. I had a blue...
Don't say that. Please don't say that.
So I was tooting on this HH357. I can get more brutal, don't I? So I was tuning on this HC. What happened is I had cleaned it so much that the resistance kept dropping, and that was just from use and cleaning, and it got to 0.9. It started at 1.5, and months later it was at 0.9.
Nice.
And I messaged you on Skype, and I said, I'm worried. Can I continue to vape this? Because 0.9, I was like, ooh, now I'm in danger territory. People are building 001 now, right? And I was at 0.9. You're like, yeah, that's fine.
You may have been the original Subohm.
I might have been. But let me tell you something. That 0.9 HH357 was the shit. That was one of the best atomizers for the time that I ever tried. And I remember you specifically saying, it's safe to vape, but you see how better it actually got by dropping that resistance a little bit more. 0.9 at 3.7 volts. This is the calculation that you have to do in your mind.
Yeah.
And it's just the ideal. And I still vape. Like I build like that today. My Aries, I have it at 0.9 right now. I'm vaping that at 16 watts, and it's just a fantastic vape, which is around 3.7 volts.
And the first LR atomizer was 1.5, and that wasn't just pulled out of thin air. That was the lowest ohm that would still work. on a battery.
On a battery.
Anything below that, they wouldn't even work.
It would short out on an Eagle or
short
something
out,
like
it
that.
just wouldn't even turn on. And 1.5 was sort of the sweet spot.
Yeah.
But as, you know, battery technology and mods started to come into play, then obviously the ohms can go lower. It just, you know, it's about the power, the ohms, and the air. If you got them right, you get a great vape.
When you get lower, you not only need more air, you need more liquid too, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you get down below 1 ohm, you know, you get what, a 0.5 ohm?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on an atom, how many hits you take before you got to refill? 3?
Yeah.
You're back to dripping on a 510.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just, you know, a bigger cloud.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, that's just the wave. I mean, it's just the roller coaster of vaping. It all goes round and round, man.
Yeah, it sure does.
It's nothing. What is one thing that you envision that vaping, as far as an advancement, is that you'd like to see or envision maybe one day happening? So, I mean, we've seen cotton, wire, airflow, pretty much. You know,
I like to see happen.
Yeah.
There was an atomizer that I was working on with Evolve that they never put out, and it was unfucking believable.
Yeah,
yeah. It had I don't know if I can even talk about it. But it burned the liquid twice. It was called a double boiler, and it was something that they came up with. It was some kind of wire that was woven through this machine. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It never got the kinks out, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I just think they probably stopped working on it, but it was unbelievable.
Yeah. Phil, write that down. Maybe we can take it to China.
Yeah.
Double boiler, write it down. Get a website too, doubleboiler.com.
You want me to screenshot the documents? Or?
Yeah. Doubleboiler.com. We already got that. It's part.
But it was, it was a freaking an awesome atomizer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, why did it never come to fruition?
Because it needed a lot of time spent on it to tune it up, and I don't think that they had the time. There's a lot of shit going on too with the FDA, and I think they just put it to the side. But,
that does bring up, I mean, the FDA did put a kind of an end to that innovation, at least as far as American Minds is concerned. Seeing Evolve go out, the route that they went, and then, 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗹 go out, seeing Mike Morgan go out of business, and some of these other smaller manufacturers, Rio, I think Rio's backing out a little bit, but there's a lot of American manufacturers that the FDA put a kind of like a dead stop to it. Don't you think that they would benefit if they were able to take that step? I mean, I guess you could take it from an ethical standpoint and say, well, I've been bashing China all these years now. It'd be kind of ironic for me to go there. But I think that if you do have the advancement possibility, why not take it to China? Why not take a 𝗵𝗆, for example, a 𝗵𝗆, the engineer of a 𝗵𝗆, and have it manufactured in China?
It was a fear. It was a fear that the machine shop pumping out your product, after hours was pumping out the same amount to some other supplier and selling them. Just, and that's not far-fetched.
Yeah.
Let's pump out 10,000 pieces on the clock, and when we shut the doors, we'll pump out 20.
It's actually really interesting.
And that's not with just vaping. That's with everything.
Sure.
Technology, everything. If you go to China and have something manufactured, you just open the door for them to do whatever they want with it.
And I actually found out 2 ways that what you're talking about happens in China. One way, exactly what you said. They get an order for 500 and they fill that order out for 1,000, and 500 go to where they're supposed to go, and then 500 go where they're not supposed to. Another way they do it, which is really interesting, right? The factory owner or manufacturer, they now know where to source all of the original materials to build the product that they're going to build.
Right.
So they create another factory. They order all the same product, same pieces and parts in, and they create an exact duplicate in another factory.
Exactly. They don't even give it to their friend. They give it back to themselves in another building.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the bigger companies, I mean, IQOS is not concerned about that. Juul is not concerned about that. They make all their products in China as well too, and they're dealing with obviously knockoffs and stuff like that. But I mean, other companies do it as well too. I just find
because they passed that curve, they're at that point where they're making so much money and selling so much product already.
Yeah,
that the cloning and copying part, it's a problem
yeah.
for them, but not really a big issue.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with the clones is that, you know, for guys like me and other modders that just could not, you know, generate a profitable business by making products because of cloning, there's so many ideas and innovations that never came to the market. The industry would be a completely different place it is today if guys like me and the other hundreds of modders were able to profit from selling their product and innovate into new products, which they just couldn't do.
Yeah.
Who knows where we'd be?
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Every time somebody buys a clone, they just, you know, they're putting a modder, you know, out of business to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Because the money's not going to the guy who innovated or invented the product to begin with.
Yeah, but that's more of a society thing. I don't think that's necessarily a vapor thing. I mean, look at Walmart.
That's common across everywhere.
People bitch about China, and then they line up at Walmart to buy, you know, everything that's been manufactured in China. I think that's a society more kind of a thing. And
yeah, but you know, everybody's a hypocrite to a certain extent. So
it's true, absolutely.
You know,
I think us included as well too. I think that that's absolutely a true statement. But again, it is what it is, right?
I mean, I buy name brand toilet paper. I don't buy prison paper.
Yeah.
I don't like to wipe my ass with sandpaper. So
I've talked to so many people that they were all about American made product. That's all I use. I use American made vapor products. And I said, where did your batteries come from that you have in those? Where's the battery charger come from? Where did the nicotine come from that's in your e-liquid? So yeah, I think there's a lot of hypocrites out there. Let me ask you this, Cisco, of all of the products and all of the things that you've been involved in, what is it that you're most proud of in your career for vaping?
The vape wheel. You know that Cisco was the first one that I went to for the vape wheel.
Oh my God.
Cisco was the first person that I went for the vape wheel, and he obviously very generously was like, "Yes, I'm on board on the vape." That vape wheel was the fucking shit.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun. We're bringing it back, buddy. We're bringing it back.
It's back. We should put some HH357s in.
Yeah, we should. We should.
What about your hair? I mean, your hair is probably something that you're very proud of.
By the way, for people that don't know, Cisco always maintained the #2 spot in the best hair of vaping. Okay, I have a chart. I created this chart back in 2012. Drew passed away, but Drew had the best hair in vaping, and Cisco was #2. And then when Drew passed on, then Cisco automatically took that first place as and it maintains and it continues to be golden and shiny, the best hair in vaping for sure.
It is beautiful.
But back to the question: what are you most proud of the products that you have created?
Probably the Velocity. It was the most popular product that I ever put out, and you know, I mean, it's pretty satisfying to make something and then people buy it and love it. That's
yeah.
You know, on top of making money, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's a great feeling.
And you know, I mean, even though it's really horrible that it's been cloned so many times, you know, that page that Dimitri pulled up before, where you saw all of those Velocity style, you know, atomizers. I mean, that's got to make you feel horrible and amazing, all in the same shot.
It's bittersweet,
right?
Yeah.
And you know what I have to ask next is what of all of your products are you least proud of?
The amp tank.
The amp tank, yes, I would agree on that.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go.
I think we all can agree on that. I think that's unanimous. I had so many high hopes. Yeah, I had so many high hopes for the amp tank, but it was what I mean,
I'll be honest with you. If I had the financially, we could have corrected the issues with that, but it was such a loss that, you know, we just kind of put it in the drawer.
Yeah, and you could tell there was a lot of work and it was a good quality product as far as the manufacturing of it.
Yeah,
it's just
it was made here as well.
Yes, yes, you could actually tell that it was made here. Just a comment from 𝗶𝗵𝗶𝗹. Thank you, Cisco, for helping me create liquids through your designs. I just wanted to get that out there as well too. So, yeah, go ahead.
Awesome.
You know, you're talking about the amp tank. You know, a similar product was tried just recently by Anakin. Do you remember the name of the? I'm drawing a blank on the name of it.
Yeah, it's the auto draw.
Yes. Yeah.
Atomizer. What was it called?
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it, but I mean, there's always a challenge when you are so dependent on the draw velocity to pull liquid in, right? Because now you're talking about draw velocity, you're talking about the thickness of the e-liquid, you're talking about like the amount of air that you got to get in there to
how hard you suck.
How hard? Yeah, that's all.
There's way too many variables. It's like this works great if you use it exactly like this.
Yeah,
well, that's not how I vape. All right, then don't buy one because it's not going to work.
Yes,
and which is why, like that product, like some people will rave about it. It's like it works fantastic for them, and others just can't get it to work. Right,
yes.
and it's all about like just that magic combination coming together in air velocity and in suckage, in thickness, like it's everything, right?
And anything with high VG was just that was no good.
Yeah,
this was made for PG liquids, which I don't even think does anybody even make PG liquids anymore.
Not in America, not that I know of. I mean, anything that's coming out strictly PG or high PG is China made liquid, or if you DIY. I think that's why a lot of people DIY. We talked about that in the Smoker Show last week as well too. But no, and there's something to be said about that. In my opinion, I love PG. I'm just a flavor guy, so to me, 60% PG is usually where I vape. But
thank you, Tony. It is the lift tank. You're absolutely
the lift
correct.
Tank, yes, where you suck and it sucks the e-liquid in the atomizer, and it just creates like a suction vacuum thing. But it's very, very difficult. But just to round this up, and as far as the velocity style deck we're talking about, we had this conversation with Phil. By the way, velocity style deck, mostly you or mostly Dino? Be honest.
Me.
Mostly you. So
actually, the velocity is all me.
All you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good to know. We had this
marquee was remember John?
Yeah, of course.
Dino's partner, the lava tank, John
yes,
Armstrong.
Yes.
The base design was his, and then he broke his leg and was not at work, and Dino had called me to see if I could help him out with it. And
the question is, what the fuck did Dino do? Anything?
He went after everybody that cloned it on Facebook. Like that's what his job was, to stir up shit, which worked.
CEO of marketing.
That's exactly what he did. He started shit up on
Dino
Facebook.
was like in the Subohm community.
Yeah,
that's how he vaped. I wasn't. I knew nothing about it. So when I was designing the velocity, I would show him drawings in CAD, and he would say, "Oh, well, when we do this, we like to do it." He was teaching me how it worked because I never Subohm, and I don't know how it works. Yeah. So I used his input, and he had a lot of input.
Yeah. Would you consider Dino to be your Dimitri? Like Dimitri is to me, is Dino to you? Like
no, we're neither.
No.
It's funny, Phil. I remember we were talking about earlier before the show started about when you first met me. I remember that. And I was embarrassed.
Were you really?
That somebody was acting like that towards me. I was like, oh my God, this guy's got to get out of here. Because you were like a 3-year-old, like you just saw, Barney the dinosaur with your camera, and you were down on your knees at my table, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, I was starry-eyed. I mean, I really was. I mean, you were one of the greats in the industry. You were one of the people that like everybody looked up to. And when I heard, people were talking to you and they were coming up to you, and I'm like, who is this guy, right? Yeah. And they're like, that's Cisco. and I said, Cisco, Spec, Cisco. And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, like I got to talk to this guy, and it's really sad because like I don't experience that anymore, right? That just doesn't happen anymore. And I wished it did, because it just reminds me of the great days and where I started off, which was nowhere, right? I mean, I started off nowhere. I was just like some nobody who was making videos on YouTube. And to go, into a room and to have like one of the guys that and you've heard about their products, and how popular their products is, and there's the fucking guy right there in front of you. That's a big deal for some people, and that was really, really exciting for me.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry that I didn't react better.
Oh, look at that!
You reacted just fine, man. I have so many photos, right, of like me with like one of my idols, like this, where I'm like, and like the person next to me is like,
yeah,
in the photo, right? Because they don't care, or they're like,
or like this,
yeah, or like that. Oh, speaking
You're
of
number
Dino,
one in my eyes, Phil.
speaking of Dino, we do have a cameo from him.
I'm dying with both of my balls attached.
I do have a cameo of him on my board all the time. Yeah, it was funny. I do miss those days. I mean,
that's probably why I'm not like excited. I was excited about vaping for years.
Yeah.
Every day there was just, it was great. And then it just got, I don't know what happened. It just changed, and I got,
It did. It changed.
Even the drama changed. Like, we had drama back then, but it was more of a, like the New York guys, the Spikies, the Vape TV versus Vapor's Place and Kevin Bowers and shit like that. I mean, it was fun drama. It was not personal drama.
It was all bullshit.
Now it's gotten like a lot of personal drama into it as well too, which has made it, even that part is not fun for me as well. And I think Phil anyway, but
not only that, but like the drama was in the past, it was like the drama was Nickel's going to kill you. And like everybody became a metallurgist all of a sudden.
Right.
I mean, that was a lot of the drama. Now it's like personal. It's beefs between, like reviewers and people, right? Yeah. It's different. It's different.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Everybody's so freaking sensitive nowadays.
Yeah, it's true.
But even back then, there was a lot of like rivalries going on.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
A lot of thievery and stealing.
Yes. And, a lot of backstabbing.
I mean, I know a lot of shit that, nobody would give a shit about, but.
Right. Well, we do too, and it's going to go in the book, including some of the stories back then. But I think it's very important for us to do have a chapter in this book with a history.
The ego battery?
Mm-hmm.
That was stolen from me by Janty. Remember Mick?
Yeah. I made the Janty, what was that little box? What it is? Is that the one that he made?
I don't know. I built a mod here. I have a tube and a cone to cover the atomizer, and I took the pictures up, and a week later on his forum, he had CAD drawings of my mod.
Wow.
And that's where the ego came from.
Don't give it all up. Save some so we can put it in the book, because we have stories like that. I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting. I think a lot of people give a shit. I think that
no, they really don't. I mean, it's just when I go buy tires for my car, I don't give a fuck who invented the round wheel. I want tires. I want the new coolest ones.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
I mean, when you go to a store and buy some, you don't research who invented it or who made it. You don't care. You buy what you want to buy, and the people who designed something, invented it, or came up with the concept, it's not even a concern for anybody. And that's not, and I'm fine with that. I really don't, this whole thing, what was going on years ago with Phil, drooling when he saw me. I mean, that was the most uncomfortable thing in my entire life.
I can imagine.
I don't even like being on video. I mean, this is just not.
I remember that about you. Yeah.
It took a long time for me to accept the fact that people wanted to even talk to me or take a picture. It was weird.
Yeah, you've always been uncomfortable in that situation. I know, but I do. I one of the reasons why I did tell Phil, and we had this discussion to bring people, is like, I think vape shows today, and just general people that do this or whatever, you see the same over and over again. It's just like, what's hot, what's trendy, and it's all that. But I think it's more interesting for people to listen. And since this is a podcast as well, too, so people will listen to the audio, I think it is interesting to bring people on here and have these discussions and see the history of vaping and where we got to as well. Because we can't forget that even us, small people like me and Phil, were part of this pioneer movement of the early decade that made vaping into what it was. And there was people like you, people like Mike Morgan, that really did a lot of innovation to, eventually to where we are today. Whether that's good or bad, it doesn't make any difference. But a lot of people made a lot of fucking money out of this industry. And,
whatever product is for sale now, whatever innovation is on the market now, came from something prior.
Yes.
All the way back to the beginning. And there was a lot of dudes who created some awesome shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Angry Pirate. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Gary Dibley in the UK.
Yes.
All that cool shit he was doing. There was so many guys just, they would do stuff. You'd be like, man, that's awesome. And then, it would spark an idea in your head to do something next level from that. And that was like this whole back and forth between a whole bunch of guys for years.
Yeah.
And then China was, peeking around the corner the whole fucking time.
Right. And also there were people that did assist China. I mean, let's
absolutely.
not just put this on China. There were people that were taking designs and sending them there as well too, that were from the industry as well too. But that's that's expected to happen. I had this conversation with Phil the other day when we're not the other day. This was probably a few months back when he came up with the idea on the Aries to put the walls. They're called liquid barriers. I know a lot of reviewers are calling them walls, but they're not walls. The design was where you have your wick sit on it, and since it's an RDTA and it's got a raised deck, that barrier will help slow down the capillary action when the atomizer is not being used, so you don't get liquid in the chamber.
Right.
And we were rushing to put it on the market, and I think that's one of the mistakes of the Aries one. We rushed it to put it on the market because we didn't want that idea because just like we thought about it, somebody else will think about it as well too. So we wanted to put it on the market fast. And Phil was like really stressing, and Phil's just a stressful person in general. And I said, Phil, this is exactly what I told him. I was like, what if they take it? What if I said it'll be just like the Velocity style deck. Like everybody talk about the Velocity style. Like you have become the synonym of like somebody stealing the idea. Right. And I said, you should be proud. If somebody else uses it, then they'll say, it'll be the Bussardian liquid barrier style.
And it's funny. Somebody in the chat just asked the question, who invented the Genesis tank?
Yeah.
There was a guy named Rainey from eSig Forum. Mm-hmm. Who designed that whole Genesis concept, put all the drawings and all the details up on the forum and said, everybody, you can have this to make your own.
Open source.
He didn't want anybody to mass produce it.
Yeah.
And then somebody took that and mass produced it.
Yes. I remember that. I remember those. I remember that.
And I had a hard time with that because it was not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It was like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. Are we talking about somebody that we mentioned in this video?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But listen, even that ran its course. I mean, the Genesis was, it was hot, but then again, for a very, very small, like I had the hardest time with the Genesis atomizer. I just could not.
Yeah, I couldn't ever use one.
I could never get my vape. If I'm going to spend an hour and 45 minutes to burn mesh and not get any hot spots, then, I lost.
I hated the Genesis until I realized I could do the same thing with cotton that I could do with that stupid fucking rolled up mesh.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
That and tea bags.
Yeah.
Hey, now the tea bags were fantastic.
You're still teabagging?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He enjoys it more getting it now than giving it. My final question, I'll let you go. We spent 2 hours, and I do appreciate.
His name was Rady. Sorry,
Rady.
That's somebody I just said in there.
Where do you see us going from here, Cisco? Where do you see? I mean, we've talked about the past and how wonderful it was, and those early days, and the good times, and the bad times, and the dramas, and all that. But where do you see us going from now as a community? Let's just put it that way, and vaping as a general. Yeah, I mean, really, there's no community anymore. But
there's no community anymore, and vaping is going to be over. It's it's going to be put in the hands of a few large corporations, and that's the end of it. Yeah. That's been, the threat for years, and it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand what the government's trying to do. It sucks, but it's what the states are doing separately, Yeah. But it's like with tobacco, the federal government controls tobacco. It's easy for them to manage 4 companies.
Yeah.
Got a multi-billion-dollar industry. They only got to call 4 people to take care of something.
Yeah.
This industry, there's thousands of people, and they can't manage it, so they want to just wipe everybody out and put it in the hands of a few large corporations so they can manage those corporations and make money on it. Guys like me, you get the fuck out of my way, and I know that.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, one day I'm going to wake up and it's going to be worse than it is today, and I will turn the off key on my site, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah.
And it was a great run. I had a great time, and I wish it didn't turn to shit.
Yeah.
But it did. And we're our worst enemy.
I absolutely 110%.
Vapors are the worst thing for vaping.
Yeah.
Even some of these guys who are very into the political scene with this. When I listen to and watch them, it's embarrassing. How about you shower, you shave, and put a fucking suit on? Because otherwise, you look like a moron, and nobody's going to listen to you.
Yeah, totally agree.
And I'm not, I'm not saying any names. I don't know anybody, but I see it.
Yeah. And if you see it, the average American sees it as well too.
Well, you got, the politicians, whether you like them or not, they're professional. They sit down, they have suits on, they talk, and they have to listen to, whatever they listen to. And they're like, I'm not even going to listen to this guy.
Yeah.
Comes in, in my, hearing room here with a fucking T-shirt that says, whatever. And he's all, whatever. Just, you know what I'm talking about.
We lost the public perception.
Yeah.
We lost the public perception. Yeah.
Never had it.
You're right. We took this small circle and we projected it into the public instead of keeping that what it was and then projecting harm reduction outside.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, the biggest mistake is that we never attempted to change that. All the money that's been spent on advocacy over the years, imagine if we had that in a PR campaign. Yeah, even today, I hear this all the time from liquid, since I'm working on some PMTAs, and I hear this from liquid makers. They're like, man, this 𝗃𝗍𝗃 is killing us, because people are out there saying that vaping. And I ask them, I was like, what have you done as a company? You're a manufacturer. You sell your products to these vape shops, and you want people to, what have you done to change that perception? How much money have you invested into getting out the message that vaping is not causing 𝗃𝗍𝗃? Once you answer that question, you'll find where we went wrong all these years.
Right.
Because that's exactly where it is. We have not been able to convince consumers and smokers that vaping is better than smoking. Period. We lost that game.
And the problem is that everybody always is looking for unity, and that is never
gonna
ever.
happen.
No, that's not going to happen.
And without that, without some kind of uniformity here in this industry, and you can't, because you got egos, you got East Coast, West Coast, and you got a majority of the people who own businesses within this industry are not business owners.
Yeah.
They're people who just got into something and made a ton of money, and now they're just, kids with money.
Yeah.
And they're buying, Lamborghinis and oceanfront, properties.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing, really, when it comes to using their money to further their own business.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time. All these little hints you get all over. It's like, we're just doomed. We're doomed. And we're doomed because of us, not because of anybody else.
Well, all these years I've been using "We Are Fucked" on Smoke Free Radio, and there's definitely something there that I think one day people will say, well, fuck, maybe Dimitri was right. But what we
need like 10,000 Greg Connollys, and we'd be good.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen either, and especially he'll be working for Altria soon anyway, so it doesn't make any difference.
He's the only guy that I can listen to when he's in a courtroom or hearing or whatever, and I gets a smile on my face because he's got the answers, and he just knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and it's also very important to say what they can hear and understand.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's different talking to that audience than it is talking to the vape audience.
I mean, the subohming was the worst thing to happen to vaping. That was a huge downfall, and then the Saltnik and the Juuls, that was another one. And the government's like, you know what? We've had it. We've had enough of this. And you can't really blame them. They don't know what you know. They don't know what I know. So they're never going to see it the way we see it. They see it a different way.
Right.
So I understand why they're doing what they're doing, because they don't even want to spend the time to understand it, because they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And it's definitely about the money to a certain extent, but it's not all about the money. And how many people in this country smoke? 12%? 14%?
A lot.
All right, so it's 85% of the people are already against us, and that's a losing battle.
Yeah.
Politics, majority wins. The majority of the people don't smoke, don't give a fuck about vaping. We're done.
Yes. They're never going to support
we're
a harm
walking
reduction.
on a tightrope here, and somebody's at the other end with a little knife cutting the rope. It's it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. Ball's going to drop. I don't even know what states I can't sell to anymore because I don't care.
Yeah. It's true.
Well,
fuck it, just sell everywhere. No.
Sorry.
I do want to bring a happy note, but you are right, and this is something that I talk about all the time, and Phil knows here on this. We bring this topic all the time, and we try to bring the reality of it. Some people just don't want to hear it. That's what it basically boils down to. People take their head and stick it up their ass, and that's just the way. Again, why we've been losing that battle. But I do want to say, as a somebody that's known you for I mean, pretty much my entire vaping journey in my career. You've always been kind to me, except with the exception of the fucking marquee. But except that, we got past that as well.
You got to allow me one.
I give you one. I give you one.
That was rough.
But we've had.
I apologize for that too.
You did. You did. And absolutely,
because I normally don't.
I know. But I do want to say, as a person in this industry, that I don't trust a lot of people. You know that. Right. That I know that I can reach out to you and ask you a question, and I'm going to get 110%, just like I can do with Phil. Your honest opinion. We've broken bread together. We've had dinners together. I've been to your house. I've met your family. And I do appreciate these relationships. But I will tell you, for people that don't know, is that Cisco has always been very generous with this community. And this is what's missing today, I think, within the community, like you said. I remember every year, you and Kevin, you'd get on Christmas and you'd do a show where all you did was just give away shit. This is all you did. People would call in and you do like a little trivia, whatever. It was just ridiculous. And people would, I think I won something like the first year that I started vaping and one of those as well too. Or maybe it was Russ's show that you're on or something like that. And with our conversations, what I've seen you done in the background, helping people quit smoking and all, and continue to do that as well too. I think that's admirable, and I think it's something that needs to be brought up and need to be talked a little bit more, because with all this we are fucked that goes along with it, there are people that have their lives have been impacted by your actions and my actions and Phil's actions, and I think that those people are just as important to keep under perspective as everything else that we've done.
Absolutely. In vaping. I mean, that's one of the benefits of this. Being in this industry is you're not just buying something and then reselling it and the customer moves along. You know, it's a whole, there's a whole other, that, a whole different aspect that comes along with it. You know, when you get those emails of somebody that has quit smoking because of a product you sold them or help that you've given them, where would you get that in any other retail industry? You know, nowhere. You go to Walmart, you buy something, you leave. You don't give a shit about anything. But this business is different. I mean, vape shops probably get more of that than I do.
Yeah, you know, well, they used to. I don't think they get it anymore. No, I really don't believe that conversions are happening at vape shops. But that's today, a bonus to
be in this industry, and that was sort of kept me sticking to it for much longer than I should have. Yeah, I was going to back out a long time ago. Just like, I don't want to do anything illegal. I don't want to get arrested. Yeah. Who knows? I don't know how far the government was willing to go. Yeah. But now that I see they're willing to tell you what they're going to do, but they don't do anything, it's a different story. Now I don't care. Yeah. You know, so it's tough. But you know what? There's a whole globe here. You know, this is just the United States that's shit right now. You know? Yeah. So globally, there's still a market. There's still money to be made. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I ventured in Europe. I mean, I told you that a few years ago that I saw this coming here. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to. I mean, I'm able to do it successfully in Tennessee so far. Right. As far as my state association, and once again this year, I posted on my Facebook the other day, but tax bill is off the table here in Tennessee. Unfortunately, our preemption bill is off the table as well too. But what's important is that as far as doing day-to-day business, nothing has changed. You can continue 2021 in Tennessee to continue to do business as you did, with the exception of Tobacco 21, which will go into effect here January 1st of 2021. But on a grander scale, unfortunately, every time that, and you know this personally, every time that me and Phil have tried to step up and take that unity role, we've always been eaten alive from within the industry. Yeah. Every time that we try to do something on a grand scale, we always get eaten alive, and that's just coming from us. That's not coming from the opposition, too. By our peers, not by the opposition,
which is even worse.
Yes,
you know, they get their egos bumped, man, and they get pissed off that you're doing something that they wanted to do, or that you're looking good and they're not. So now they're going to talk some shit. It's amazing. Yeah. Could you imagine what all you guys could do if you were all on the same page? Oh, geez, unbelievable.
It would be a force. It'd be a force to be reckoned with.
That can't happen. Unfortunately, I agree. That's the reality of it. It just can't happen.
I came to that conclusion a year or so ago. I told Phil, I was like, I'm pulling away from this federal stuff. Right. It's just never going to happen. It's just, it's so draining, especially when you're doing it as a volunteer and you're not getting paid. But it's so draining to have to fight local, state, and federal politicians and policy, and then have to fight your own industry and justify the moves that you're making, that it gets to the point where it just takes such a huge toll on you that you just give up.
I mean, that people should, lead by example. What you're doing in your state, they should just look at what you're doing and what you guys are.
Oh, they can't do that. 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗀 came up with that plan. We can't do that. No, it's gonna give him too much credit. It's gonna give him too much street cred if we do that. Now listen,
but it's just it's funny how, someone would ask me and say, just do whatever 𝗵𝗵𝗵's doing.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you call him, he'll give you the stack of documents how to do it the way he's doing it, and you could probably, have positive results like he has. And
yeah,
why?
Right.
Why?
Well, that's because it's 𝗵𝗵𝗵's plan and it's not their plan.
Man, I remember a couple years ago, you sent me all that stuff.
Yeah.
I tried to do it here. It took like 2 weeks, and I was like, I'm done with it.
Yes, I remember.
I couldn't handle it because people just, didn't get anywhere with it.
No, you have other brighter minds in New York that are controlling the state association.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you
Much
can't.
brighter
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's just, again, we're falling into that same trap of us.
Yeah.
Taking that Nerf gun, I keep reminding that GIF. The little kid takes a gun and just points at his balls and shoots, and obviously it's exactly what this vaping industry is. We just shoot our balls constantly. So it just drop on our.
Well, I'd like to say I've never shot my balls yet.
It's never too late. It's never too late for that. But listen, I look forward to maybe one day, we hang out again. My daughter absolutely loves New York, so I'm sure I'm going to be up one day again, and maybe we can hang out again and have a nice Italian. We had these meatballs, Phil, in downtown Manhattan. These fucking meatballs looked like your head. They were fucking delicious. They were so good.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm stuck a little bit back now. When you said you've been over his house and you've met his family and you had dinner with, I never had that. And you were the one that had the beef with him. I got beat up by Dino. Cisco and I have always had a good relationship. I never fucking went over his house and had dinner with him or anything.
I mean,
like that. So,
all right. So
look, if I had daughters, I wouldn't bring you into my house either. But I feel this.
Phil, my door is always open. You know that. I mean,
I know, yes, and I appreciate, especially because I contacted you. I mean, just like a day ago about doing this show, and you were very gracious and you agreed to come on. So we certainly appreciate you having you on.
Absolutely, I appreciate you.
We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate you for your donation and your gift, to this industry.
Yes.
And you say that, people don't care. I think people should care. I think if you care enough about the industry, and there's going to be enthusiasts and there's going to be just people who just don't want to smoke. But if you are an enthusiast and you care about the industry, you should know people like Cisco, because he had an impact. He directed and guided this industry. And he had pull, and if it wasn't for guys like Cisco, who knows where we'd be today. So thank you, Cisco.
Oh, you're very welcome. And I want to thank everybody in the comments. I've seen people thanking me, and I want to thank them for doing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really humbling. I really know that you're uncomfortable with it, but I think when you look back at it and decompress from it, I think it's appreciative to know that people have used your products and they've kept them off cigarettes. I think the innovation. I think it's a great feeling today for me and Phil, like somebody, usually Europe, because we don't sell a lot of shit here in America, but when somebody from Europe, just the other day we had a woman in our group, 45 years old, said she tried to quit with everything. She used the Zenith and she was able to quit. It's really humbling,
Yeah, it is.
We made a few bucks and we helped this wonderful woman quit smoking. I think it's just a great feeling all around. And I think that's never going to go away. So we really appreciate that.
I mean, that's where those old meets that we used to go to, that's what you get from all those people that would show up, is all that, they'd show you your gear. Like, look, I bought this from you and I quit. I mean, it's just, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. I totally
uncomfortable, but unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, some people handle it differently.
Yeah.
But I get it. Absolutely. So listen, thank you, Cisco, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Make sure you relay my regards to your wife and your daughters. I hope they're keeping you sane. I do notice that your hair did get a little bit whiter as your daughters grew. But I have that same feeling as well, too, because I have two daughters as well, too.
Two teenage girls.
So we can relate. Definitely on that. It's rough. Phil, anything that you want to add?
No, but I agree with you. Like, if I go to this photo right here, there was a lot more brown in that hair. Like,
there is definitely. Yeah, there's definitely a change from that picture to what.
I said what I had to say. I appreciate him for coming on and his contribution to vaping. Just one of the good guys. He was one of my once I met him and I got to know him at the meets, and when I wasn't drooling over him anymore, he was one of my safe zones, one of the place where I could go and just hang out and talk to somebody. So Thanks, bud.
Well,
Thank you, Cisco.
guys.
We
I
appreciate it.
it.
Have a good one.
All right, you guys have a good time and stay safe.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
we
you
appreciate
too.
it.
You too.
All right, everybody. That's Cisco for you. You have 30 seconds if you want to light up the telephone lines. If you want to call in right now, 215-383-5752. Call and get in queue if you want to play the vape wheel. You don't have a lot of time left. We've already gone 2 hours. And we had some other stuff that was planned, but I don't think we're going to get to it. But I do want to mention something for the people that have been asking about the Aries. My Vapor Store is sold out. Element Vape is sold out as well. But we were able to secure some with Vapor DNA. And we do have a coupon code for you. It's INODNA20. INODNA20 will save you 20% off the Aries. And it'll save you 20% off the Coolfire Z50 kit, a great starter kit for people that are looking to quit smoking. I'm using one right now. I will show it to you here. This is the Coolfire Z50 kit. I mean, who needs a pod when you have something like this in your hand? It's just a really, really nice kit. But we do appreciate Vapor DNA for providing this coupon code for us. And yeah, and My Vapor Store and Element Vape, I know they've re-upped on their order. I have to fix our shot now, Phil, which is very, very difficult to do with you on there, but I am going to attempt to do it. So yeah. Sorry, I had you on mute.
Did you make that beautiful flyer there?
I did. Did you like it?
Yeah, you know what? Pass it along to me. Can we promote that? That's like outside of the show. Can we do that?
I mean, we can do whatever we want to, Phil.
All right. You know what? You send me the flyer and I'll get it up on Taste Your Juice.
Hold on a second. I gotta fix your.
No, it's okay. I like this. It's it's good enough. My hair. I got a real haircut now. It's okay.
This is the problem when you're using Zoom and there's two people and one person leaves, then you have to crop the shot and you have to remake it. But I kind of made this on the fly, but I'll fine tune it as you're talking.
That looks fine.
But yeah, wow, nobody wants to play the vape wheel. That's pretty interesting.
Oh, nobody's calling in. Well, you know what? It's after 11, so we've done the 2-hour show. We were actually going to talk about the Omari-O Slyeek that I just did a review on today.
Yeah. We had a whole segment planned, but unfortunately we ran out of time. But Phil does have his full review. It just went up right now. We can talk about it a little bit. But if you want to see the full breakdown of what comes inside the box, just go to Phil's YouTube or tasteyourjuice.com and take a look at that full video. I will tell you that I've used it. I'll tell you how I've used it. Get on my motorcycle. Right? I grab it with me, and it's very hard. I'm not going to leave the house with a device that doesn't satisfy me at 12 milligram mouth to lung. So the fact that this is the only device that I'm taking tells you that I'm able to be satisfied with 12 milligram in it. So I take it, I put it in my motorcycle, I drive, I pull over somewhere where I stop, I take some vapes with it, and I was really impressed with the build quality of it and the fact that I see a huge MTL resurgence, Phil. I see a huge MTL. I think that finally companies are realizing that 12 milligram is making a comeback, baby. And you have to be able to provide devices that are going to vaporize 12 milligram efficiently and satisfying. And we're seeing that with this device as well too.
And I hope it's not just like I hope it's not just the mouth to lung that's coming back. Like you say, 12 milligram is coming back. I hope so, right? I hope that satisfying throat hit thumpiness, cigarette analog equivalent. I hope that's coming back. But I know that salts are extremely popular right now.
Yes.
Right. I mean, they're very, very popular. The high nic. So like if you have a device like this, I love the fact that I can put a 12 milligram in here and leave the house. And you see what you said there is key, right? If I can't walk out of the house with this, knowing that this is the only thing I have, right? That tells me something.
Agreed.
And the fact that I can tells me that it is satisfying enough with 12 milligram, right? So I do get that thump that I need. I get the flavor that I need. I get the experience that I need, right? Is it perfect with this one? No, it's not. But it's really good. This is as a matter of fact, in the video, I try to talk about the draw on this and what it's like compared to some other things that I do, right? Yes. And I would love to come up with like a set of numbers and like a test to have a real number that I can track. But take a look at that review and tell me what you think of the what did I call it? The draw estimator or some shit like that.
Yes.
But take a look at that. And by the way, in that review, there's a way to win one of these. And the 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗹, the target PM comparison video that came right before this one, there is a really nice 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗹 prize pack in that video that you can win. And you have until the end of the day tomorrow to get into that contest, should you want to enter that one as well.
Did you make that chart? By the way, I do want to put some input on this device as well, too, because I have been testing it out for this kind of dueling review. But
Oh my, opinions from both ends. You are listening to the DP Show with Dimmy and Phil.
Since we are going to be doing a little bit of a dueling review, I do want to get that in there, even though if we don't have it. But I do want to say two things about this as me personally. Very good, solid construction. I like the weight of it as well, too. It's a little bit beefy. I like the fact that you can orient the drip tip depending on how you're going to pick it up and if you're going to push it or do it auto draw, because you can do both of it with it. USB-C, huge plus in my opinion. And I know that's something that we're pushing a lot of the Chinese manufacturers to go on. I've used 20 milligram salt with this and I've used 12 milligram freebase. Both have been vaporizing. A little bit on the loose side, not as tight as I would like this type of pod system. And keep in mind that I stealth a lot with these devices. So it's important for me to be able to use a higher PG liquid tight so it doesn't exhale a lot of vapor as well too. Keep that in mind. What we're talking about is what basically Cisco was saying earlier. More airflow is going to produce more vapor. So when you're using small devices like this, you're looking to more for a stealth vape. You want the actual vapor to be lower. So you can achieve that by putting a higher PG in a device that does not have it has a tighter restrictive draw to it than an open device. The feeling on this, I did not like. My plug on the one pod got in the pod.
No shit. Are you kidding me? Yours did that too?
It got in, so I literally had to take like a little screwdriver and get in there. I had to actually use my reader glasses to do it.
Seriously, what are the odds of that happening to the both of us? Because it happened to me, and it's in the video. It's in the video.
Okay, so that I didn't like. That filling plug to me is just,
it's unbelievable.
It's that's the, I don't like that plug thing, but aside from that, the other thing that I've noticed is, and this might be just me, I don't know if you tested this out. I feel it could be placebo. I feel like I get a better vape when I press the button than doing the automatic draw.
I can tell you why that is. It is placebo. When you push the button, you tend to push the button before you start drawing. Mm-hmm. Okay. When you don't do that, it's the draw that's pushing the button, right? So you do get a stronger vape if you push the button, but it's because of the time.
It ramps up.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Makes sense. Sense. But other than that, I've been pretty happy. Let me fix this shot before you put that on there. Let me just crop this. Oop, look at that. Top of your head.
God. It's the top of my head again.
Well, at least it's not as white as Cisco's. How about that? That's you're like with that.
The bigger problem that I had with this, just using it on when I'm thinking about it and I'm using it like right now on camera.
Yeah,
I have no problem. But these goddamn flat mouthpieces, right? Yeah. I hate them. I truly hate them. Yeah. Here's why. Right now, I'm having no problem at all. But as soon as I lounge, as soon as I'm just chilling with the device, right? And I'm like this, and I go, it's fucking never the right angle, ever. Yeah. Right. And that just drives me crazy. And look, I know the flat mouthpieces, they're all the rage right now. They're all the hype. They're all the popular thing. That's what's going on. Yeah. But sometimes it's form before function, right? And I like function before form.
Understood.
Right. And I just always think that a round mouthpiece is more comfortable and it is position independent, right? Yeah. And that's just like one of the things, the negative that I had with this one.
I think compared to other flat mouthpieces, this doesn't bother me as much. I'm not a fan of the flat mouthpieces. And the reason why is because it's elongated. It's a tall mouthpiece, okay? So if you look at it on the camera, and it's oval. Yeah. So flat that are short are even more difficult to vape on. This one at least has a little bit of girth to it. a little bit of length to it, that it's okay for me. I don't have a problem.
I love when you start talking about length and girth. It's really
well, it is the DP show, you know what I'm saying? But okay, so that's my thoughts on the device. If you want to see the full review, of course, check out Phil's review. But we do have basically a system that we grade these doing a dueling review, and how many inches oops, I hit the wrong button. How many inches is this device going to receive on the DP dueling review scale?
I'm really curious. I'm going to argue you with your number there. You gave it a 4.5 inches.
Yes.
And I gave it a 6.5 inches.
Yes. Well, you went deep.
I went deeper than you did. Yeah. I definitely went deeper.
Yeah.
Which of course, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I was surprised. Why the low rating? From you?
So I will tell you why. I think that I'm trying to always, when I review products or when I test out products, I always think about the crucial elements. So overall, I like this device, but the crucial part to me, filling. That really took away a lot from my how deep I was going to go into this review, right? Because I think it's very, very important, that experience, especially for a new user or even for an existing vapor as well too. If I'm on the road and I'm going to take this, can you imagine if I'm somewhere and I have to refill it and that happens? I will not use that device again. You know what I'm saying? If I'm put in a situation where I can't refill the device on the go without a tool, right? Then and I couldn't get it out. I couldn't get it out with my fingers. I couldn't. I literally had to put on, I brought this light that I have over here that has a magnifying glass on it. I turned the light on and put it underneath there and put a screwdriver. I can't do that on the go. That took a lot away from it. The overall satisfaction of vaping it's been a great experience. But I think that the crucial stuff, that's what I dropped my inches down to 4.5.
Yeah, no, okay, that's interesting, and that's fair. I think, and it's like I said, it's really fascinating to me that your plug pushed in the same way that mine did.
Yeah,
and you could see it in the video. But it was also like a learning curve, right? So once I realized what not to do, once I started working with the new pod, I found it relatively easy to fill. No more difficult or no more easy than any other plug style filling pod, and I kind of don't like any of them, right? But and that's why the score that I gave it, I thought it was a pretty decent vape.
Yes, not bad. I've never heard of this company before. I don't know who makes it, but it's
Omari.
Nice.
Omari makes it.
Yeah, I know, but I've never heard of Omari before. Have you seen anything else from Omari?
You don't know Omari?
I don't know Omari.
You don't remember what they came out with a couple of months ago?
What did they come up with?
Absolutely nothing. I
have no idea what Omari is.
They do have some other product that looks like it's coming.
Okay.
On their website, right? So if you go to their website, they do have a couple other things, but not like a whole lot of information on them.
Yeah.
But
I always compare this, and again, I know I get the pod craze and all that's coming out. We're seeing that the pods now, especially the AIO pod, like people are calling these pod mods, and they're bigger than actual mod. You know, I think at some point, this again targeted completely to vapors. Okay, this is just a trend. It's a hype. This is going to die down. But if you compare, again, what I'm telling you, compare these two products. Okay, I mean, if you look at size-wise, right? Size-wise, you're not gaining really nothing from the pod-style vape. You're getting a good vape out of it. There's no doubt about it. If you like the form factor or whatever, if it suits you, it's great. But what is the goal here? Is the goal to get good starter kits out for people to start? If you're going to have a good starter kit out there for people to start vaping, you better make sure damn well that it's easy to fill, because a smoker never has to fill anything in a cigarette. So I think that's where mine came in. Very happy with it. All right, question from go ahead.
I think like if I were to give something to mom,
correct,
I wouldn't give her this because she would have a hard time filling it.
Correct.
I would give her the Z50 because she would have an easy time filling it, right?
And I'm not making this in a commercial for the Z50. I'm just saying there's other stuff out there that's just as good. Question from James: why aren't they stocking the 22mm Aries on the American sites? That is a great question. And I can only assume, okay, James, that there's not a demand for a 2mm tank. I get you. I use both. I use the 22 and I use the 24, depending on what device I'm going to put it on there. But I think that I can't tell Element or My Vapor Store what to bring. They bring in whatever they feel like is going to sell most of the consumers. I brought this up, though, with Inikin about a week ago. Phil will tell you. I posted in our chat that there's consumers in America because they like smaller devices. They want the 22. And the question from Inikin again was, well, is there any demand for 2 mils in America? And I'm like, it's not that much, which is true. So what we decided to do is to put it on the Inikin store website to have available some pieces for people like you, James, that want a 22 millimeter. So if it's not up now on inikinstore.com, it will be soon. You'll be able to get a 22 mil version here in America as well too. But listen, we're very, very happy. We're very, very humbled by the great comments that the Aries 2 has received. And I knew as soon as I got the final product, Phil was a little bit worried about some of the stuff, but I knew when I got the final product and I took it out of the box and I built it and I vaped it, I knew that this was going to be a success. And it has been a success for us. It's been done very, very well for the Aries 2. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. And we're always listening to you. Just the other day in our platform group on Facebook, if you're not there a member, please join up. I made a post, and just to get input, as these are getting into the hands of vapors, we want people to listen what they like and what they don't like about it. And we always trying to give back to the consumer and make it even better. So far, a lot of great comments.
Yeah, really good.
And we got a couple of good suggestions as well too, which we're definitely going to explore. But we want to make this an easy atomizer for people to start building, especially with these stupid laws that are coming about. Speaking of laws, I want to bring up something real quick, Phil. Two items. Colorado introducing a tax that is going to go for a ballot measure. If you're not part of the Colorado Vaping Association out there, please join up in the group and give some money to the group. They're fighting to get this thing negotiated. This is a complete altria bill that is bringing taxation that's going to benefit, obviously, big tobacco and is going to squash the small businesses. So it's a big alert that people should know in the state, and they should fight this. And the only way to do that is to join your state association and get with them and see what you need to do and who you need to contact to squash this. And the other thing that just popped out yesterday from our good buddy Tiny Lips state, Montana, Matt Cully, complete flavor ban being introduced by the health department, not even the state. Listen to this, Phil. They're saying because now we're in a crisis with COVID, that vaping and flavored products pose a huge threat to the community and to the citizens of the state. And the health department wants to pass. It's not even a law. They're just gonna fucking ban the products, all flavored products off the market. So I highly advise you, please, if you're in that state as well, to do the right thing and get out there and fight these stupid bills. And it's gonna be it's the domino effect. It's basically like Phil's back hair. It just fucking multiplies immediately. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just trying to give a fair comparison, Phil. That's all. Don't get all about tissy about your back hair.
Well, I do have to keep up on it.
Dude, damn right. I've shaved it. What the fuck are you talking about? I know. I have seen the forest of Phil Bizarro's back. Don't worry.
I'm smooth and silky right now, man. I'm doing good.
This almost feels like after hours at this point, but yeah.
So somebody asked, Mike asked, for MTL juice, is 50-50 the best way to go? Not the best. I don't think it has to be 50-50. I mean, you could vape like anything really, mouth to lung. It depends on what you're trying to achieve in the vape, right? If you like a stronger throat hit, if you want easier wicking, higher PG, right? A 50-50 might work really well for you. If you like maybe a little bit of a denser vape, a smoother vape, a little bit higher VG. I've capped my mouth to lung vaping at a 70-30 VG PG.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of where I capped it. And that's where, when we were testing the Zenith and the Slide and the Z coils, that's where we capped the testing as well at a 70-30 VG PG.
I totally agree. I do want to bring up something with the PG and the VG as well too, just to understand, just come from a not mechanical perspective, but just to get something under control. That a higher PG liquid does not require a lot of heat and low resistance to work. So the great thing about that is you can adjust that depending on your style of preference of vaping as well too. If you like to vape at 1.6, 1.8, there's a lot of people that build in those higher resistances. They benefit from a higher PG. A higher VG in that resistance is not going to work well, not because of the atomizer, just because the liquid requires more heat to put off a good flavor. One of the reasons why I vape 60% PG is I like the flavor combination based on my resistance build and wattage range, right? I don't like a hot vape. I like a cooler vape. I vape menthols, higher PG menthols. I want to be able to pull the fruit that I have in this menthol. So that kind of combination works for me as far as me building it as well too. But there's no, I mean, you can vape 100% VG mouth to lung. You're going to get 0 throat hit, but that's might be what you're looking for. So it's okay to do it. There's no formula. 50-50 is kind of the standard as we've said it over the years, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best or the worst.
You know, I'll say this too, because you say that, you know, like VG does need a little bit more heat, a little bit more power. That's not the only thing too, especially with some of the liquids that are really, really high sweetener. Sweeteners tend to like more power, more heat. I have vaped many sweet liquids where if I try it direct lung or restricted direct lung Subohm, I really like them. Then when I get them and I put them into a mouth to lung environment, they're just like mouth coatingly sweet.
Yes.
It just doesn't have the heat to kind of break that sweetener up and make it an enjoyable experience.
Yeah. This liquid that I made last week, this is Phil's French 𝗶𝗵𝗃 a la mode. I vaped the whole thing, Phil.
Did you really? You vaped all my 𝗶𝗃𝗃s?
All your 𝗶𝗃𝗃s.
I'm through.
Did it come out good?
Even though my scale fucked up right in the middle of everything.
Came out okay?
Came out really good.
Good.
Yeah, really good.
So
I actually like this better. Jennifer, don't be mad. I like this better than the one Jennifer made for me because I went 50-50 and it's a little harsher.
Yes.
I like that.
I agree with you. And plus you made it, so that makes it a little bit more special. I think that you get more of an enjoyment as well too. But this 𝗶𝗃𝗃s 50-50, I'm vaping it at 1.2. I'm with a 1.2 ohm coil at 10 watts. At 10 watt, at whopping 10 watts. Okay, and it's just a fantastic for my style. 50-50, 12 milligram, 1.2 ohm, 10 watts. That cool vape. I get the flavor. I get the throat hit. I get everything. To me, that's what makes me happy. Is it the best? No, it's the best for me though.
And you know, this is something that Dimitri and I hear all the time. We're actually running into it right now with some of the projects that we're working on. That there is this perception out there that more watts equals better. I just don't understand that. I don't understand why people think that if you have a coil and a coil can handle 60 watts as opposed to a coil that can handle only 40 watts, why that 60 watt coil is better. I mean, if it truly is, like, if it tastes better or if it's wicking better or if this, but I don't see why the number of watts equates to better. There's a lot more important stuff going on there than the number of watts. For me, lower watts is better because then battery life's not an issue.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
But, you know, I mean, everybody's different. Everybody vapes their own way. But I just don't understand that perception that, well, we need to have a coil that hits 70 watts because that's what people are asking for. I just don't understand that.
Agree. Question from Rick. Welcome to the show. Obviously, you are new. Why are so many people seemingly have a negative stance with regard to salt nic? Also, what does DP stand for? Obviously, a newbie. So, obviously, DP stands for, I mean, come on, Rick, you're an adult. 𝗵𝗵 and 𝗵𝗃.
Oh my, opinions from both ends.
Get opinions.
You are listening to the DP Show with 𝗵𝗵 and Phil.
DP Show, 𝗵𝗵 and 𝗵𝗃. And you're getting opinions for both ends. That's what the name of the show. Now, back to your question about the salt. I don't think it's a negative. Again, if you look back at least me and Phil's, it's not that we're against salt nic. We're against high milligram nicotine salt being the only available option for various reasons. Youth initiation, no throat hit for smokers to convert, a dual use product. Clearly a product that was designed by a huge corporation to get people to continue to dual use. And this is the truth. To me, salt could be used in various ways, and we're not seeing that in the market. Why aren't we seeing 18 milligram salt? I mean, salt nicotine is salt nicotine. 18 milligram salt is 18 milligram salt. Why are we not seeing 18 milligram salt nicotine on the market? And I think that there's a reason behind that, okay? I think there's a reason between we're only seeing these high nic pods and in demand today, at least here in America. And the reason is that it's a huge dual use product for a commercial reason. I think that there's a lot of people that can benefit from high nicotine 50 milligram salt. heavy smokers that can't quit or have attempted vaping in the past and it hasn't worked for them. Absolutely. I think the abuse of it, though, and the marketing of it is not geared towards that. That's just my personal opinion. That's why I think that you're seeing a lot of the negativity that's going on, at least from within the community. And one more factor that me and Phil really take serious is the loss of balance. If you're going to have 50 milligram, you should have 12 milligram option as well, too. But we're not seeing that. We're seeing 0, 3, and 50. These are the options that we're seeing in the market today in America. And that, to me, not having that availability and that range that can satisfy a lot of consumers and a lot of smokers that are looking to quit is detrimental to the industry. And it's caused a lot of issues for our advocacy efforts as well, too. So I hope that answers your question. Does VG and PG have an expiration date if sealed? I think all chemicals have an expiration date for sure. Yes.
Well, Jennifer's on. Answer that question, Jennifer.
Yeah, come on, Jennifer. Answer that question. But I think every chemical has an expiration date. How long it's going to last? I mean, is it going to last you for the rest of your life? Probably not. But there's steps that you can take by freezing or keeping them in cool, dry place. I said damp last time. I just want to make sure I don't make the same mistake. But that can extend their life. But yeah. But then again, I don't think you're ever going to have a problem Skynet getting those raw materials. I don't think you're ever going to see VG, PG, or even nicotine not be available. I think that's always going to be available.
Well, okay. So first of all, I think I would be more concerned with the nicotine having a shelf life than the PG and the VG, right? Let's see. One day. No. Okay. So there's that. Now, so you said, I'm not sure if you're ever going to have a problem getting PG, VG, and nicotine. They're having that problem in New York right now.
Not DIYers. They don't have any problem getting PG, VG, and nicotine. What's banned in New York is flavored product.
Okay.
I mean, listen, there's some companies that are not shipping into New York. It's the state law. I get it. Element doesn't ship into New York liquid. Okay? Element does not ship liquid into New York. They're a huge corporation. They don't want to get a letter from the state or whatever, get a fine. I get it. They want to abide by the law. But there's plenty of companies that are continuing to ship in New York, finished product and raw materials as well, too.
Okay.
What I'm saying is from a commercial standpoint, you're always going to be able to find the raw materials. The demand for those is not going to be, you're not going to have every kid in America that's fiending on 50 milligram jewel pods try to find raw VG, PG, and nicotine to make it. It's just not going to happen. It's always going to be that smaller DIY type people. And those people are always going to have access to that. I think the hoarding and all that, I don't think that needs to be done. That's just my personal opinion. Don't take it for, Bible. I think that, but, I just don't think that those raw materials were, because they're used in so many other applications that it's not like they're going to ban PG when it's being used in so many other applications. Nicotine as well, too. Don't think that nicotine's only being used in electronic cigarettes. It's used in a lot of applications. So I think that we're always going to have those raw materials. And now, after, of course, the wonderful performance of DIY that we had on the last Smoker Show, we're always going to be able to make liquid.
Hey, Jennifer says that with PG, there's no such thing as an expiration date.
There you go.
Because it's antimicrobacterial. There you go. What about VG, Jen? Did she answer the VG question?
I don't know if she answered it. But,
come on, Jen. Why answer only half the question? Seriously.
Yeah, seriously, Jennifer. Get it together. What's the matter with you?
There are a few companies shipping it until they get noticed not to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you're gonna find. Trust me, you'll find other ways to get it as well too. I just don't see. I don't see it go. Again, that's just my personal opinion. You're always gonna know somebody that's gonna be able to get you, the product in there. Whether you pay by PayPal or you make a deal or whatever, there's always gonna be ways to do that. I mean, that's just never gonna stop.
But that's the unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. I didn't say it's great.
The unfortunate thing is that we're going to go through the hoops. We're going to know how to get it. We're going to be able to get it. It's just that it's that smoker that's walking down the street that's not going to be able to get it.
Right. Well, they'll be able to get 50 milligram tobacco jewel pods. So there you go. And everybody's going to make money.
VG will lose some of its viscosity, but it doesn't go bad. Did you know that?
I did not know that. No.
Now you do. So yeah, I think it's the nicotine more that you need to worry about. But keep the nicotine in a freezer, and it'll last you a while.
Another question: is the PG based flavoring the same flavoring, including the PG that's used in baking, or does baking flavoring not include the PG base?
Oh, Jennifer was very anti.
Yeah, she was anti.
using bakery or like supermarket flavorings. Don't use supermarket.
Yeah, because the molecular structure of some flavorings that you're going to find in the supermarket include oils and other essences inside that are not meant to be inhaled. And it's impossible unless you're a molecular, scientist or whatever they're called to be able to determine that just by looking at a label, which does not give you the actual molecular structure of what the flavoring is inside. So it says strawberry or vanilla flavoring on the bottle. You don't actually know how that vanilla flavoring was made. So we're highly against you using those type of flavors. But I don't know. I don't know that answer. Maybe Jennifer knows.
Well, Jennifer, she did put out a very important. She says baking flavors suck. So there you go.
There you go.
That's the detailed answer from Jennifer.
I see that Paul tagged me on a post on Facebook. Let me see if he had a question. Yeah. So Paul says both have a lifespan. VG is a living product. So there you go. We have opinions from both ends. We have one from Australia and one from Jennifer. So there you go. I just think any kind of chemical will have some kind of expiration date. Whatever it might be, 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, whatever it is. I think I am essentially.
I think this show has an expiration date right now.
Yes.
Because, we're at 11:30.
Yes. The main reason why this person asked is because we keep saying our flavorings are the same flavoring used in foods. Yeah, stop doing that. We definitely shouldn't be doing that in public. Yeah. All right, yeah, we've said it all. We had Cisco on, and I think it was great. I think it was a great conversation, and I think it was important for the new generation of vapors to understand where we came from and what low resistance meant. And so I think it's just interesting to have people, and we'll have more guests on from that era, if you want to call it.
Absolutely. We've got a couple lined up. And I saw a comment very, very earlier on in the show. Somebody was looking to get Dr. Farsalinos back on the show. Dr. Farsalinos, I think, would be better for the smoker show. But if you guys have a recommendation for somebody that you would like to see on this show, send us an email.
Yeah, or just leave a comment underneath the YouTube. We look at all the comments. We got a lot of great comments on the last the DIY smoker show that we did. So we really, really appreciate it. We appreciate the shares and the likes on the videos. It really helps the algorithms to get it out there. Also, we have some serious stuff coming up. Phil, I don't know if you want to touch a little bit on the 𝗶𝗺 thing. That'd be something that people would be interested in.
Yeah, so he has a couple of studies coming up. He's already agreed to be on the show. The challenge is the timing, right? Because number one, Dimitri is going to be in Greece. Number two, he's on I think EU Central Time or EU Standard, something like that. So we're probably going to pre-record the 𝗶𝗺 interview. So he will be probably part of the smoker show. And on the next smoker show, we are going to talk about a study that he's involved in, and actually something that you could get involved in too if you would be interested in that, and also something that he told me about 𝗶𝗄, because if you remember, we were talking about COVID and we were talking about nicotine, and I've been saying, well, not only nicotine, but what about the antibacterial effects of 𝗶𝗄? So he sent me some information, and we will share that with you on the smoker show.
Yes, I do. I don't think I've announced that, but I will announce that I am a project ambassador for the Veritas cohort study. Okay, this is being a project that's coordinated by the Center of Excellence for the Acceleration of Harm Reduction. If you want to get more information, it's veritascohort.coehar.org. And so I'm very proud and excited to be a part of this. I'm going to be getting vapors in my area involved in this project. It's a longitudinal study that's going to hopefully, contribute to the effort that we've always tried to contribute as promoting harm reduction. So yeah, very, very excited to be part of that. We'll talk a little bit about more of that on the smoker show. It's definitely not a DP matter, but it's interesting nonetheless for vapors.
And the link that Dimitri just mentioned will be in the description on YouTube and the replay post on tasteyourjuice.com.
Yes. And don't forget, I have to get one more plug for this because a lot of people are asking us. Vapor DNA, coupon INODNA20, INODNA20. You're going to save 20% off the Aries and the Coolfire Z50 kit at Vapor DNA. And we thank them. Always been very, very kind to us over the years. And My Vapor Store and all the other websites that support our products as well, too. All right. We've said it all.
We have. I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything else to say.
Good.
I really can't.
Good. That's amazing.
Except for the the #1 best-selling watermelon peach.
Here we go again. By the way, yes, coming to we have a big launch. Look at our social media networks this week. Maybe tomorrow we got a big announcement coming. Me, Phil, and Matt. That's gonna be very, very exciting as well too.
Yeah, excited about that.
The watermelon peach has what 137 stars. That's pretty. That's a high rating.
It's unbelievable. Like it broke the system.
There's not enough room on the website. You actually have to have the website on Dropbox to get all those stars. That's how big it is. I get you. All right.
Yeah, we're actually we're having a meeting tomorrow with Mr. Small Lips
Yes.
at 3:00. Dimitri, don't forget about that.
I will not forget it. I'll be there. All right. Thank you very
I'm going
much.
to Sam's Club tomorrow morning, though, just to let you know.
Everybody, I actually hit the record on my board this time to get the audio podcast. So this will be up on Smoke Free Radio tomorrow as a podcast. Of course, please like and share this video if you enjoyed it. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks to Cisco for coming on, and we will see you again next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern with the Smoker Show.